All right. So George in the community wrote, don't believe what you hear about rural America. It was just like two paragraphs to this. I'll read it and I guess we can talk about it. He says, I was born and raised in the rural Midwest, moved to the coast for college and most of my 20s, and recently moved back a bit over a year ago to spend time with family. Some on the American right pay a lot of lip service and praise rural America as some ideal place and true America. Don't believe them. This place is hell. In some parts, rural America is dying. In most parts, it's already dead, and what's left are zombies lingering along with zombified brains. The women in dating here are horrible beyond words. It's honestly worse than the big cities. I lived and dated in New York City, especially online. The women are so transactional and superficial. Every YouTube video you see about jaded women being ran through with horrible, entitled attitudes and wildly unrealistic standards fits this place to a T. At some point, it's impressive for these women to have 20 plus body count at 23 when their high school graduating class only had 20 guys. Everyone is fat. Most women over 26 are either already divorced or are single mothers. I'm not bragging, but I'm an in shape and attractive guy that gets a lot of attention from strangers in public. With that, I'm almost black-pilled by the amount of women that flirt with me that have rings on their fingers or are with their boyfriends. It makes me sick to my stomach. Even the religious girls have a lot of red flags. They either don't believe in what they preach and are just the same as secular women or are psycho Bible beaters. I go to church twice a week, but they are way too much and hate gay people and think they're subhuman. Jesus. I'm not woke or a liberal, but I have gay friends and they're good people just like everybody else. Social media and dating apps have ruined people's brains. There are no more borders on information anymore, and the same brain rot infects a vast majority of American women everywhere. Jeez Louise. Coming out here, I knew dating probably wouldn't be great, but I didn't expect how bad the people, both the men and women of all ages, would be. It's been more than 10 years since I lived out here for high school. Growing up, most people were generally friendly, polite, honest, and reliable, or at least that was my perception. That has changed. I do a lot to socialize and meet friends, but most people are rude and standoffish. It's become cutthroat, and everybody has the mindset of "fuck you, I want mine." Of the people that aren't immediately awful, they either want money from me or seem like they want to be friends. But almost all the people that are friendly are still deceptive and unreliable, that ghost and flake on set plans. Even my friends from high school, guys I played football with, ran track with, and old coworkers will just ghost me and not show up to planned events or to get-togethers. Are they busy? No. They just sit at home and either watch TV or doom scroll on their phone. Even the married people here seem like their marriages are held together by the Elmer's glue that little kids use. The analogy is fitting because most people have the emotional maturity of children. If there's any sort of stress in their marriage or one of the spouses leaves at any point, it'll fall apart. Or one of the spouse's lives at any point, it'll fall apart. Unreal. And now there's a rise in the social media brain rot. One common theme I've observed over time is that the people here largely don't have any dreams or aspirations. That is a thing, small town thinking. Nobody cares. The sense of community and the American spirit is largely gone. The sense of community and shared spirit was 10 times stronger in NYC. What? And this is living in one of the most economically stable parts of rural America. There's some jobs here, not a lot, but some. I've lived in poorer parts too with no jobs and life appallingly bleak here. Throughout this area, everybody has a crabs in a bucket mentality. Everybody is just on autopilot until they die. But if they can pull someone down to make themselves feel slightly better, they'll do it in a heartbeat. It's really dystopian and depressing. I love my country and want to improve it, but it's been going downhill for decades. I don't view that as insurmountable, but none of the citizens giving a fuck about it really kills a lot of the hope. I'm using my passport and leaving in the next few years. I can run my business remotely. Until then, there's only a handful of decent places to live in the US. Don't believe the propaganda. Rural America is hell. Thoughts? Holy shit. Any Americans want to chime in here on that one?
I mean, I have to say that um, He's looking at it with a pessimistic point of view. I try to be optimistic, and there was something that I recently heard that we choose to be happy, and it's all a mindset. I definitely understand his point of view. Um, so I mean, he's not wrong in a lot of things. It's just I guess we each have to choose how we want to view what's happening really, and want it how we want to allow it to affect us.
Yeah, but that's like woo-woo thinking. In his situation, he's traveled everywhere. He's just like the small town mentality. It's real. Rural America dying. It's real. Uh, People having the crabs in a bucket mentality and okay wasting away in life. That shit's real. There's no amount of like, oh well, grass is or glass is half full kind of mentality. It's just how you see things, bro. It's like rural America is shit. They're methed up. There's no jobs there. It's an economic black hole. The people that can do leave. The rest that are still there in those dying towns. If you've driven through rural America, you'll know what I mean. It looks like fucking going back decades, you know? Small police force. They're using 1970s cruisers, boarded up fucking buildings, you know, what used to be businesses and shit like that. It looks like shit, dude. It's a dying town. So, I mean, what do you tell? I mean, what could you possibly say? I mean, his little thesis there is basically don't believe what you hear about rural America. And you know what? I understand because this is what conservatives typically tout as, just like he said, as like the golden standard of what America should be or what America is, real Americana. But nobody lives in the small rural towns. Like everybody that's proponents about the small town living, small town lifestyle, that being like the bread and butter stock of America is not true because most of us live in the big cities or very close to them in the suburbs. And that's where all the money is. That's where the jobs are. That's where their opportunity is. Hardly any people actually live the real rural lifestyle. And I would even argue that the real rural lifestyle is turned into luxury these days. Like, you know, you do the homesteading thing. And the homesteading thing is essentially luxury farming. You buy some land that's expensive as fuck, just enough to have a luxury farming lifestyle where you plant some gardens, and but not enough to live off the land truly, where the land makes you money, but really just like cook for your family with things you grew in the garden and not much else. It doesn't even replace the grocery store for you, but you feel better about like, yeah, I get to pick some tomatoes today, and oh, over there I got watermelons, and me and my chickens gave me some eggs, and then we'll process this whole cow from a real farmer that we paid thousands of dollars to get half of a fucking cow that we store most of the meat in the freezer, you know? So, but that's not really rural America. It's just like I'm 30 minutes from a Costco and we go buying, you know, we'll buy whatever else we need to plug the holes in the fact that we don't have enough land to sustain the whole family. And that requires full-time work, you know, and then you go broke because where do you sell the excess to make a profit? So you need a real job that requires most likely the internet, or you sold a fucking company off or something, or, you know, whatever, to basically sustain yourself in the lifestyle. So it's insane. The standard, it's almost like when people talk about traditionalism in America, like traditional, you need to find a traditional woman, a country girl. That's gone. Like that doesn't really exist anymore. A traditional country woman in America, like country girls are no different. It's just like, you know, it's like a, how could you say? It's hoeing, but country hoeing. Like anybody who's been to the country knows like the Daisy Dukes, the boots, you know, the cowboy hats, all that shit. None of that matters. They're hoeing out there just the same like the girls in the city. It's just a country twang and flavor to it. But they're getting dirty at the little mud meetups with the little four wheelers and all that shit. And the country Chads are, you know, pumping them and dumping them. And it's like the same fucking experience. The traditional lifestyle that people are talking about is very far few in between. You know, like how many people are. What's up, boyos? How are you guys doing today? 5 a.m. Yeah. It's 2 p.m. where I'm at right now. We'll start it off light. Let's see what's going on with the world today.
Happy Independence Day. I want to talk about just how significant the largest infusion of border resources we are getting in the big, beautiful bill. Every border official I've ever talked to said there's three things you need to secure our nation: infrastructure, manpower, and technology. Let's break down the $100 billion, a huge $46.5 billion for border wall construction upgrades and the detection technology. While the numbers are lower than they've ever been, the wall is what works. Every Border Patrol official has told me that, and they're going to continue to build it. Now, you've also got to talk about why so many people were released under the Biden years. It's because they ran out of places to hold them. They told us we have nowhere to house them, so we have to release them. Well, we're talking about $45 billion for single adult detention in family residential centers. That's going to be for temporary places, kind of like Alcatraz.
That's a W. Can't deny that. Finally securing the border. Mexico didn't pay for it, but hey, got it done one way or another. Rhetoric, makes for a good soundbite. And alligator Alcatraz, although sounds funny, hopefully it's effective and more are built so we can process these people and get them out. The part that I'm not happy, to be honest, is the special provisions, kind of like granting them amnesty for the ones that work in the farms and hospitality. The further right constituency will not be a fan of that, of course. They want every single person out, but, politicians answer to power and money. And unfortunately, big agriculture and, of course, Trump knows all about hotels and stuff. So he has a keen eye on, or ear, I should say, into that, pain point of losing all their hospitality staff, basically. So can't win 100%, but okay, you'll get something at least.
As we hear, where as ICE arrests the criminal migrant illegal aliens into the interior of the country, they'll have a place to put them as they make their way out of the country. You've got nearly $30 billion for.
And credit to them, because look, only America has the balls to do something like this. Seriously. Do you think this conversation would be happening in Europe? Doubtful. Right? Probably not at all. You would go to jail for certain memes, basically, in Europe, if you offend somebody's sensibilities.
Hiring, training, and retention of ICE officers, technology, and transport. They are at a level now where if they get this resources, they can really move and ultimately get the more than 400,000 criminal illegal aliens we know are in our country. Finally,
criminals.
For just over $4 billion for the hiring and training for Border Patrol agents and others. While numbers are down on that southern border, we still need people to walk the line there. $100 billion total. So to discuss it, nobody better than the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons. Mr. Director, happy 4th of July. Thank you for taking time. And I will just start, Todd, with getting your perspective on how significant this bill is and these resources will be for ICE.
Hey, Griff, thanks for having me. Yeah, and happy 4th of July to you and everybody on the staff. No, it's going to be great. I mean, when you think about how depleted ICE has been over the past 4 years, last administration totally minimized the work the men and women of ICE do every day. It really cut our resources. So you're seeing now, under this administration, President Trump has made a promise to the American people to make America safe again. And a key part of that is his immigration strategy. And what Secretary Noem has done with helping craft this bill, it's been amazing. Just like you said, the detention space alone is going to be huge for us. We saw so many individuals let into the country last time without due proper vetting. We know we have so many known gotaways, known suspected terrorists. This is going to give us the tools and resources now to have the infrastructure in place to go ahead and ensure that ICE is going out and being that viable law enforcement partner we are and going after all these public safety threats. And the one main thing, Griff, that you pointed out is the manpower and hiring. We've lost so many good men and women because they just didn't feel like they were law enforcement officers anymore. When you're just not allowed to do your job, it's very heartbreaking. So now we're going to have the opportunity to get men and women of ICE the backup they need. We're going to be able to retain these great individuals. So it's going to be a great win for the Department of Homeland Security.
Well, Mr. Director, it seems that morale is up. Our friend and my colleague in common, Bill Malugin, getting some reaction from some of your ICE officers saying things like this. Let's go. This is long overdue and will give us the resources to ramp it up and give the American people what they voted for. This ensures that ICE is the tip of the spear to make America safe again. You know, you really, and of course, the smiley face emoji, and then the last one there, this administration has been fighting nonstop to give the law enforcement agents in these dangerous sanctuary communities the tools we need to complete the mission. As you talk about giving your men and women what they need, Todd, your face.
This is good. We could have been bigly screwed by the Democrats if they let all these people in, kept them here, gave them some form of amnesty, and then they started voting. Right? Because you couple this with, what was it? They gave them paperwork, guys. So they were able to vote without voter ID. They're trying to remove voter ID laws. Can you imagine how much this would tip the scales? Especially in the swing states that they were being flown and bussed into. This shit was crazy. And they were doing that in front of everybody. The gall to do that shit. So this undoes all of that right away. This is why Democrats are panicking so much. It's not so much what's in the actual bill and like, why would you? Logically, if you're America first, if you're for America, why would you hate on a border bill, right? ICE being beefed up to handle mass deportations, the proper processing of illegal migrants. Why? So only people that want to see the downfall of America would even have anything bad to say about making ICE adequately funded and prepared for securing the borders of a nation. Isn't that strange? That's even a thing on the Democratic side. What are they going to do during midterms? I don't understand how these people think they're going to get more men to vote for them, more centrists to vote for them. They've already lost basically like half of the administration were former Democrats. They have a coalition. Like the Republicans have basically rebranded under Trump. They have a coalition. These are all like 90s Democrats. Some were recent Democrats that just switched over, like say RFK. You know, he was running on the Democratic side and he switched over. How are you going to get the populace excited when you've been, I don't know, I guess the last 8 years pandering hard as hell to the extreme minority of your party, the extreme progressives, these ideologues, rabid ones at that will, you know, it's like the snake eating its own tail kind of thing. You can never be pure as the purest ideologue in your party. There's always going to be a problem. And when they didn't get what they wanted, it imploded on themselves. Their plan failed bigly, and now they're going to pay the price.
Facing a backlash, the likes of which ICE has never seen, from agents being doxxed and assaults now on your ICE officers up nearly 700%, as you already have some California cities canceling their 4th of July events today to literally have a response to protect migrants from ICE raids. You see them here, LA County, Whittier, Bell Gardens, and Cudahy as well, just out of control. What are you saying to your rank and file? What are you saying to your team?
Well, you know, like you said, assaults are up to almost 700%, and that's totally unreal, and it's unacceptable. The men and women of ICE are out there doing a law enforcement mission. Never in my career or my lifetime would I think that we'd see people attacking law enforcement officers for arresting the worst of the worst. With that, what I have to say about these events being canceled, it's ludicrous. ICE isn't going out to events and arresting and rounding people up, right? What ICE is doing, and the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security, is keeping America safe this 4th of July. So what I can tell you is not only my agency, but all department agency components have been out there working with state and local officials to ensure that things like the sleeper cell threats, these known or suspected terrorists that came in, aren't going to affect our 4th of July weekend, and that Americans can go out and celebrate. So what we should be focused on is what the good work that the men and women of ICE are doing to protect this nation. You know, you guys have highlighted, Griff, what we've done with some of the high-threat countries. We arrested a former sniper from one of these high-risk countries. We arrested an Iranian that was tied to Hezbollah. We are out there ensuring that these people that were let in under the last administration aren't going to do us harm on a great day like July 4th.
You know, just in the last few seconds I've got, Todd, we're doing Proud American shout.
You know, the only thing that worries me about, obviously, all these millions of people being let in under Biden, what if there's a false flag? Or I should say, what if there's an attack on, you know, during an event, during whatever? It's so easy to paint a false flag. right now and just blame some country and then blame the people that came in here and like forge paperwork and then boom, boots on the ground in some country we're not supposed to be in because, regime change. We said it, didn't get it, blew their shit up. But hold on 1 second, guys, because they've only been delayed by some months, XYZ. We didn't really take everything out. They're still enriching uranium, blah, 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 blah. And the story goes, I don't know. Sure as hell won't be the first time that something like that has happened. And it sure as hell isn't like too far of a departure from reality when you think about all the other things the United States government has done to people, has done to its own people, quite literally experimented on them. I mean, there's so many Operation like North of Woods, don't need to go too far deep into that stuff, but the United States has a history of doing basically whatever it pleases. Regardless, I think the border security obviously is a no-brainer issue. I don't know why Democrats would be opposed to it. Well, basically because they're depending on all the illegals they brought in to eventually vote in all these states where voter ID was not required. Your plan got shit on. But there's some sort of fracture inside of MAGA too. We saw the first rumblings of the split when we bombed Iran. So you have to tread lightly. And now Elon announced a third party. I think I have that saved too, by the way. Yes, that's a good segue.
Now, moving on. And Elon Musk is forming a new political party in the United States, claiming a one-party system is currently in operation. Now, the Tesla and SpaceX boss and former ally of Donald Trump posted that he was starting the America Party to give people back their freedom. Musk announced his latest project based on a 24-hour poll in which a majority backed the
He has
new
the
party.
money. Look, man, there's going to be detractors that say things like this. This is not good because it's going to take away votes from MAGA. It'll take away votes from, like the libertarian votes will be taken away from Democrats also. So their numbers are shrinking. But you have to look at this like a pragmatist, like a capitalist, actually. If you're very American, you should be pro-third party. And here's why. Here's my argument for that. Just like when and I wrote about this in a post too, just exactly as companies must compete, the more companies there are that make a certain product, the competition drives down cost for the consumer. Competition is great. You pay less for better products as they compete for your dollars. When you have a monopoly, or you could call that a two-party system, is a monopoly in a sense, they don't really have to compete against one another. They could agree behind closed doors, especially with foreign money and super PACs and all that, agree to disagree on certain things. They get to keep their side of the aisle dirty and corrupt, and the other side gets to keep their aisle dirty and corrupt, and then we lose out as the people. Because if you look back in the last, let's just say 60 years, has your life gotten better at all, measurably, right? Or your generations or your parents in the past 60 years, America in general has your dollar devalued by how much under Republicans and Democrats, Cost of living has increased by how much? Inflationary pressure has increased by how much, right? The debasement of the dollar has been ongoing since 1917, I believe, or 13, one of those. So it seems like the two-party system's already failing because we ended up getting to this point. Wouldn't it be great for the population if we got three parties or more? Yes, I understand the hypocrisy, like a billionaire's funding this, but at this point, if money's so entrenched in politics, we kind of have no choice. And hopefully one day a grassroots effect could take place. We had one with the 99%, then we had one with the Tea Party. They kind of all whittled out because you had to join Democrats or the Republicans. But what if you could get backed by money, a third party that represents the people, or at least, what could you call them? Populists, real American nationalists first. And you can use that to pull voters away from the entrenched political class that really bicker but don't do nothing. They're the ones that benefit. And the voters get the short end of the stick. No matter who you vote for, your life gets harder. I think it's great. Competition. The spirit of the American spirit of competition. More parties, the better. You guys have to come back with better messaging. The whole point that, I say the cause of all of this shit is because the parties don't represent the people. Why would we need a third party or it being even discussed if people weren't so distraught with the state of American politics in general? Democrats don't feel like, or Democrat voters don't feel like Democratic Party represents them, and Republican voters don't feel like Republican Party represents them. Oftentimes they'll call them rhinos or dinos, right? You're Republican in name only. This is a symptom of a system that's broken. It doesn't represent the people. So is it going to take a billionaire to start and fund this and start primarying other candidates? Obviously push big money into very critical swing states or districts where the biggest impact will be felt first, right? Imagine that he's able to put in money on like critical districts or swing states where now you have to work with them and come to the table. And hopefully it's not some dystopian billionaire party that's created by AI man supreme and we all get fucked in the process anyways, sold out just for a third class. But if it works, it's great for the, American citizen, because now they can't grift on Democratic side or the Republican side. They'll be forced to come to the table and hopefully put some policies forward. Because this populist rhetoric that Trump went on, I'm telling you, it's super popular. It'll stick. It'll stick. If they got a bunch of candidates that just put America first, no foreign money, no lobbying, no APAC, none of that shit, right? And they're very transparent with where the money comes from and how much was donated and all that stuff beyond what the campaign finance laws are, and have messaging for the people. I think they're going to do really well. I really do. I think it's safe to say most Americans are sick and tired of both parties.
All right, well, for more on this, I'm joined by DW reporter Gassia Johannes, who's been keeping a close eye on this. Great to have you in the studio, Gassia. So why is Musk launching this party now? Is this like some type of escalation of some sort of his feud with President Trump?
Well, Pablo, some people would say it's exactly that. I mean, Musk has been vocally opposing the one big beautiful bill that, as Trump calls it, that Trump just passed. And he has been threatening to take action and to form another political party if this happens. And now this is the follow through of that in a way. Now, we don't know if Musk has actually formed this party. He said that he's forming it, but so far there is no actual record of this, official record of this party. But it comes after a feud with President Trump that Musk has been having. And let's not forget, Musk spent around $250 million supporting the Trump campaign in 2024, and then only for Trump to pass a bill that would cut a lot of funding to Musk's companies because it would cut energy support for clean energy like solar energy, wind energy, and also electric vehicles. Right. So this affects Musk quite personally as well.
Of course, with Tesla, with those vehicles. So what impact could the America Party, as Musk is calling it, actually have on the two-party system, even though Musk is actually saying that he's claiming it's a one-party system, right?
Right. Elon Musk has said that on his...
Someone said third party is a bad idea. Promoting more participation is more effective. No, it isn't, because you're voting for, two sides of the same coin. Trump would not be effective if a third party was involved. Not true. He was the third party. He was anti-establishment. That's what he ran on. He ran essentially on, I'm different from the rest. I'm draining the swamp. He just did it under the Republican banner. That was it. So why not just create a third party that champions many of the, I would say like MAGA ideology, but without having been hamstrung by Republicans or Democrats? Let's just make a whole new party, period. American competition. What's wrong with that? Yeah, the spirit of capitalism. Do we stand on that principle or not? It's so fucking weird to hear certain Americans are like, no, bro, we can't have a third party. It'll take away votes. So like competition's bad now in politics, but it's good everywhere else. Like, no, bro, Apple, there can't be a third company. They're going to take workers and technology away from Apple. We're going to make them compete for us for better phones. What? So you're telling me more political parties is a bad thing somehow? Isn't that fucking weird?
Is Twitter on X, but the way it works in the US is so complicated. In order to even get a party on the ballot, every state has different rules for that. So there's a lot of hurdles when it comes to establishing another party and going to elections with that. And let's not forget, Elon Musk was not born in the US, so he can't himself run for presidency. he hasn't yet said who would lead this party. He hasn't really announced any plans. It's been a lot of ideas and not really like a pragmatic approach with, what his vision is for this party and what he would do concretely.
Someone said nothing will change. Check on Hungary. Here we had the left, right, and now right side for 15 years, and the ship is going on the same route. That's because Hungary is a small place with no power. Like America makes its own rules. You can't compare America and Hungary or American politics with European politics. Like who gives a fuck what Hungary's doing? Seriously, EU will slap you down, take your money away, force you to take migrants, box you out of the open trade agreements that you have, the one market principle that they always pretty much shove in your fucking face when they want something done. And what? You just do not have the economic might. That's why the United States could get away with shit like tariffing the fucking world. Yeah? Who's going to... If you institute some radical policies in the United States, is there another country that will literally tell you to fuck off, we'll stop trading with you, hey, this is against our interest, we're going to punish you economically, politically, militarily somehow? Watch Hungary or any other smaller European nation try that shit, and the EU will come down their fucking throats and sue them into oblivion or threaten them economically. You think the EU is going to do that with the United States? Please, bro, get the US's dick out of your mouth first and defend yourselves with an actual proper army. Yeah. Just like how the United States has basically all the AI companies, Silicon Valley, all the tech companies, everything, monster companies, the size of entire countries, GDP-wise. And has the EU done anything against those companies when they like break the rules, a little fine or a slap on the wrist here? And even that is bare minimum because you can't piss off the United States. It's a whole different position. The United States could literally flip the fucking world off and tell them, this is what we're going to do. What the fuck are you going to do about it? You literally depend on us. But small countries don't have this kind of power, this independence. They're vassals. So, I don't know. If there was ever a spirit of a revolution or massive change, it could spark in small countries, surely. But for it to be lasting and, paradigm changing, it has to come from a huge country like the United States.
Concretely. So we don't really know what his overall political vision is. We just know that he's raging against the two-party system in the US. And there have been attempts in the past, like in 1992, there was the Reform Party that managed to get around 19% of the general vote. But so far, no major party can break the two-party system in the US.
So let's talk about Musk, because his own popularity has been dropping. But is he tapping into something? Is there an appetite in the US for another party to challenge the Democrats and the Republicans?
There's a lot of growing dissatisfaction among the party voters themselves with their own parties. The parties have shifted a lot and their agendas have changed, and there's not a lot of nuance in the two-party system. Now, Musk is aware of this, and he's even said he's trying to reach those, what he said, are 80% of voters that are dissatisfied. Now, we don't know this number. That's what Musk is claiming. But the truth is there is a lot of dissatisfaction. But
yeah, there is. If there's anybody that's going to make this happen, it'll be a mega billionaire spurg like him. For real. That's it. He's got the money. He's got the spurgness. He's got the balls and the vision to make this happen. Anybody else would probably fail at this. I mean, this guy's whole life's a contradiction. People are betting against him since the very beginning. They were shitting on him for buying Twitter. Then he transformed it. Get fucked. They were shitting on him for electric cars. Then everybody followed him with electric cars. Get fucked. Everybody, like everything he's ever done. SpaceX, they were shitting on him there. Your rockets are ass. No, you can't do this. Boom. He does some shit that's literally like a technological leap compared to everybody else. Catching your own rocket to reuse it. Get fucked. Everything he does is like a get fucked moment, basically. It's not been perfect for him. He's caught a lot of fucking heat for a lot of the positions he now holds. Obviously, politics is a dirty game. So he used to be like the golden child of the left until he started opening his mouth saying some more conservative shit. And then all of a sudden he's like the devil incarnate. That's what it is to be on the left. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you too. See what the comments say. I'm so curious. The solution for the American political system is to get money out of the American political system. Yeah. Surprised he didn't call it the X party. When a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. Ooh. Yeah. So there was some major falling out behind the scenes. They had him tweeting this 4 months ago. I love the real Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. Yeah. Billionaires are not your friends. Yeah. As an American citizen, I've never been less excited. The prospect of another party for billionaires is not exciting. Well, we can't do it without money because you got to repeal Citizens United. Good luck repealing that. When literally the candidates that will try to repeal that will absolutely get primaried. By who? The people with money. Yeah, today is Safari Bow Day. Boy, oh boy. Let's go into something a little more relaxing, shall we? This dude is a personal trainer. What being a personal trainer taught me about women. Let's see.
I'll tell y'all, being a personal trainer at these luxury gyms, Equinox, Boston Sports Clubs in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Look up Wellesley, Massachusetts. Like I would say it's top 2, top 3, like wealthiest city in Boston. Like when I was a trainer at these places, especially when I was in college, because that was my first ever quote unquote occupation that I did, especially while I was in college, there were a lot of interactions that I would have with women, married women specifically, not single women. I did have some single women that I worked with. That's fine. But married women, I would have some interactions with them that would leave me scratching my head. Because, you know, I'm a very moral person, and obviously don't shit where you eat, right? Like always, that was always my mindset. Never shit where you eat. And also never touch another man's wife, right? That's another thing. Consensually, of course. I know some people are going to think like I'm saying something crazy. But I would have these crazy experiences where, you know, obviously I'm a trainer. I'm here to make money. I'm making money and I'm working with these women. And
someone said he's been training their throats. Jeez.
They start to get really flirtatious, right? And you start to wonder because you know that they're married because they came with their husbands in that consultation. Their husbands were sitting in that consultation. Their husbands were egging them on to actually be trained by me. And they were all for it. And then once the husband left and they were just me and them in the gym, right? They would start to, you know, say flirtatious things. They say, "Oh, you're so attractive." Like, "Oh, your muscles. I love how you look." Like, "Oh my God, like you're so amazing. I wish my husband was like that." And they would start to say things.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. Guys, there's no negotiating attraction, period. Like it's the reason step 1 lift is literally the first step in the red pill is because this is a primal thing. No amount of money saving you. If you're a fat fuck and you look disgusting, out of shape, you don't take care of yourself, beer belly, gut, nasty ass, corn toes, none of it. Not happening.
Things like this in the beginning, right? And I would work with these women for about 3 to 6 months, right? Nothing crazy. But as the weeks went on, the flirtations got more and more and more and more and more, right? To the point where it just got to a point where I'm like, "You're married." Like I wouldn't tell them this, but in my head, I'm like, "You're married. Like, how could you be this flirtatious? Like, how could you be egging me on so much?" And it would get to a point, I would say typically around week 8, they would be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really attracted to you. Like, I don't really do much when I'm at home. My husband's not there. He's always at work. You can come over," or something like that. Or like, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that." And I would politely say no. I respectfully say no because obviously, you know, I respect their husbands. I respect what they're doing. I respect the hustle that they're doing. But there was one thing I realized because these demographic of women were rich women, right? And these rich women were always left at home by themselves. They were always bored. So they always wanted to talk to a lot of these guys who were in these services industries, right? They would have their own personal masseuse who was a male. They would have their own trainer who was a male. They'd have their own gardener who was a male. They'd have all these male services around them, right? Clearly for a reason. It never was just that, right? It never was just.
And married women are the easiest because you're only competing against one guy instead of like 30, 40 dudes DMing her. Seriously, married, like you go to the club. If a married woman's in the club, that's a red flag. Auto divorce, bro. If she says some shit like, I want to go out with the girlfriends, auto divorce. Just end it right then and there. Stop wasting your time. And literally the ones with the ring on their finger is like shooting fish in a barrel. They're so fucking starved for attention, for some D, for some, anything whatsoever, because their husbands are probably working to support the family, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck. They got in an argument, something. Who gives a shit? Wife at the club, game over. Like, it's a complete joke. So the competition becomes you just beating her husband, who literally they're probably having a fight because that's why she's at the club anyways, or she's, not happy about something going on in their personal life, or she need to go blow off some steam with the girlfriends from watching the kids and all that stuff. And all of a sudden some young buck comes around looking good. He actually takes care of his body, all that shit. And your woman's gone, done. You're fucking toast. Wife at the club. Wow.
Just for like their actual trade work that they did. But as I was talking to them more, I would try to understand what was going on at home, because that would give me a good understanding of why they act the way that they act. Because I do believe that women who feel neglected or who feel like they're just sitting at home and just like their husband is out doing whatever he's doing, again, respectful, because he's going out, he's going on business trips. Who knows what he's doing on these business trips, of course. But like, he's bringing in money, right? She's living this comfortable lifestyle. Why would you talk to a 19-year-old personal trainer who's in college still? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So it always hit me in the back of my head, like, what's going on? Like, why are you choosing to talk to me versus the guy who's rich? Don't women like rich guys? Don't they only want money? And when I started to really analyze this, I noticed that the money was kind of like a safety net for them. They want the rich guys because the rich guys have the money that will give them the lifestyle that they want. But the fun comes in with the guy who may not be rich, but also has a certain personality and has a certain edge to him that they're super attracted to, more of like the high testosterone guy, right? That like, they just have like this crazy fondness of, they fantasize over. A lot of women fantasize over the personal trainer. They fantasize over the masseuse that touches them a little bit in a certain way and they get excited and they want to do this and they want to do that. I'm not saying all women, but that happens consistently. And it got to a certain point where I was really just asking so many questions about their relationships, and they would open up. They would say a lot. They say, "Oh, well, he doesn't last very long. Like it's kind of boring. Like I've never orgasmed in my sex life at all." Like they would just like throw this shit out there, and they would bash the guy so much. And in my head, I'm like, "But he's a millionaire." Like, bro,
but you gotta, simps. That's what guys don't understand. They think like money solves all your problems. Money just solves one of the major problems. And that's that safety net, provisioning. But if you don't have protection, if you're some fat dude, some skinny, nerdy dude, some fucking, just a loser, bro, apart from you standing on a mountain of money, she's still going to have that fundamental biological need to get her back blown out by a dude that looks like he could do the protection, although he has no provisioning. The game is cold. You must meet both standards. It is what it is. That's like, what would be the reverse for guys? It's like your woman getting fat and lazy and doesn't take care of herself. And, she thinks that's enough to keep you. That's fine, bro. I could let myself go. He's my husband now. And then the dude steps out and still, she doesn't see that it's her fault that she got fat, broke the contract, Or you meet a fat chick and you're supposed to love her forever, or that when she loses weight, as if your opinion on her doesn't change, or she gets hotter, or that you're looking at skinny chicks and you're like, wow, dude, looking a little too long, and that you're supposed to pretend you love her chubby cheeks. Like, come on, bro. Come on. We both have that fundamental underpinned contract when we deal with each other. Youth and beauty, protection and provisioning. It's that simple.
When I tell you, Wellesley, Massachusetts, billionaires out there, right? There are. I remember when I was waiting tables, because I did a little bit of serving at the country club, the Wellesley Country Club. The CEO of Bank of America was there. I'll never forget that. I didn't even know who he was. I served him, right? And these are the types of guys that live there. Like all the NBA players live there, everything, right? And all of their wives, I'm not saying his wife, or I'm not saying any NBA player's wife, but like a lot of these rich guys' wives would go to these trainers and they would flirt with them and they would do things with them. And it always puzzled me because I'm like, you have something safe at home. Why are you coming here and taking the risk with somebody? What if he finds out? right? But then obviously, you know, they have probably half of whatever the guy has, and they feel like they can do whatever they want. And it was just crazy to experience this stuff. And they would always talk about how like he doesn't necessarily listen to me, he doesn't pay enough attention to me. I always feel like I'm alone, I'm with the kids. Like I just like want to have some fun, right? And it's tough to hear this as a man, because you're like, man, what if this shit happens to me? Which again, it can happen to anybody.
There's also another thing, like rich people of that kind of magnitude of wealth have very different boundaries in their relationships. These guys are hyper focused on money and will sacrifice absolutely everything for it. Until you meet some of them, you don't really understand. Like they're operating on another playing field, another level mentally. For them, family and kids, it's just like a little check mark on a list. You know, it's like, yeah, you're supposed to do the whole wife thing and a few children. Boom, I'll pick this one. She's a model from here. She's like a ballerina from there. She's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Some woman that's going to give him, you know, some beautiful woman. Right? He's got his specimen trophy wife. Put some kids in her, and the dude doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck if she stays or leaves. The deal is, I'll take care of you for life. Don't care what you do, who you go see. You do not tarnish the reputation of the family. Don't care what you're creeping with. I don't give a shit about you. I'm on my business trips doing what I'm doing. Don't ask me any stupid questions. Know your role. Watch the kids. Be quiet. Don't ask anything. And that's it. And that's like the understanding that these mega uber rich people have. And for them, it works. So on the download, they're creeping. All of them are on the download. A lot of rich people operate like this. It's not fathomable for the average person, because we're talking about people that are wired on the opposite extremes. So, yeah, it's for an average person, like marriage and a divorce and cheating is like life-ruining events. For very wealthy people where money's not an object, it's irrelevant. For them, what matters more is reputation. That's it. When reputation matters more than money, you're on a different playing field. You don't look at money the same, man. For them, it's all about maintaining an image.
It happened to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. The reality is it is a possibility, right? But what I've also noticed is it's a possibility that can be reduced if you're a man who can basically do more, right? And again, this is going to piss off a lot of guys. They're like, why do I have to do more? I just don't want to date women at all. Go ahead. Don't do that, right? That's your prerogative. But I take that as a masculine man. I take that as a challenge. Like, how can I be somebody who's also fun, cool to talk to, like can actually give the woman a good experience while also getting the money as well, right? It's good to have both. But a lot of these guys will be so focused on their careers, which again, respect to them, because that's super important. But the women would be on the side just fucking around, right? Idle's mind is the devil's playground is what I learned. Because as they're doing these exercises, they're pointing their butt out a certain way. They want to do more squats. All of a sudden, they want you to get right behind them. They want you to do all these different things. And I just realized, man, I'm like, if you're a dude and you let your woman like go be with like a male trainer or like a male masseuse or any of these.
Someone commented, most women have nothing to offer. I would argue both. Most men and women today have nothing to offer. And if you just separate yourself from the pack, even slightly, just work out, just eat clean, just take care of your mind, just for yourself, you're already on another playing field. Really, the competition, the bar is fucking in the dumpsters right now for the average person. So
these different services, you're kind of cooked at the end of the day, especially if you're a grinder, if you're somebody who's really working hard and building and you're not at home very often. The likelihood of something happening is a lot higher. And I didn't realize this until I went through that process. And once I started to understand, like,
astronomical, that's what I don't believe. If you had to ask me about like marriage, would you get married if your woman had a job? No. Absolutely not. You mean to put your woman in some work environment with a bunch of other dudes, horny as fuck, especially in a compromised power position with bosses, multiple bosses, and that be her day in and day out, on top of what other duties she has in the household, and to come home to you and you don't think there's going to be some time in between all these years where she's broken? Come on. Come on, man. No thanks. That's why I told you guys marriage is something for the wealthy in America these days. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's not about the money. It's not. It's about the fun. It's about the thrill. It's about the emotional roller coaster. A lot of these guys, when I would meet them, when they would come and sit down at, like, you know, we would do halfway point reviews and stuff like that, and like they'd want to renew and everything, they would be so excited that I'm working with them. They're like, man, you're doing so great. She looks so amazing, et cetera, right? And it's like, they just didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes. It like could not even be possible in their mind that their wife would be flirting with a 19-year-old personal trainer. Like, what? Like, I have the money. Of course she's attracted to me. It's like, no. And by the way, a lot of these guys were fat. A lot of these guys were fat, out of shape. I was like, man, I'll train both of you guys. I jokingly say this in the consultations. I'll be like, man, I can train both of you guys. Actually, that'd be dope. And of course, the woman would be like, no, it's just for me. It's just for me. It's just for me. And the guy would be like, yeah, she can have that. I'm good. Now, what's crazy is the woman would want to get in better shape. The man would not. As she got in better shape, she would start to look in different directions, right? I would see the same woman looking at other trainers as well, not just me. I'm not saying that I'm like this Casanova or nothing like that. It was just the idea of being with somebody who was in shape, somebody who was young, somebody who looked adventurous, somebody who looked like they were just living life just on the edge. Like that's what they were looking for, you know? And so it got to a certain point where I just realized it's not all that it seems to be. Like, chasing money is great to be able to chase a fulfilled life when it comes to like your finances, to make sure that you're not stressed all the time. But it gets to a certain point where all of your life as a man has to be balanced, right? And it's like, you can have the greatest woman in the world, but if you neglect her completely, she's going to go awry. She's going to start doing other shit because they need attention. All of them do. It's normal for them to want attention. But it was just crazier to see these rich women who had the money, who wanted people who didn't have the money. All the trainers around.
Yeah, because they were trash in the first place. These rich men selected garbage. You think, bro, Elon might be the richest man in the world, but that dude married a chick, divorced her, then I don't know how much longer after that, a year or two, or I don't fucking know. He remarried the woman he divorced only to divorce her again, second time around. Just because you're like a business magnate, you're an absolute genius at starting companies, you got a great engineering mind, you can still be a complete fucking tard when it comes to women. That's a whole different skill that you have to teach yourself. And if you're after money, power, fame, all that other shit, honestly, being skilled with women is fucking irrelevant. Anyways, you're chasing something bigger than getting your pipe wet. So more kudos to them. If I was Elon, if I had that kind of I wouldn't give a fuck either. I would, bro. That guy wired different. In order to get that kind of money, your brain just does not function like the average person. They don't care. Same shit. This is what happened with Tom Brady. You know, with his wife Giselle. She told him, the story is that she told him to stop playing one more fucking season in Florida, I believe. And that dude's just wired different. He wants to be the GOAT, greatest of all time. He's got the fire in him to compete. Almost went to the Super Bowl again. He's old as fuck, bro, doing it. He's still doing it at a high level. And he couldn't stop. And he said, cool story. So my family or football? I choose football. And so she left him, and she cheated with like a trainer and some other shit. We don't know what happened first or whatever, but hey, the point is, any other normal man would have been like, you know what? You're right. I need to retire. I could get hurt. I'm old. What's another Super Bowl ring? Whatever. That dude was like, fuck all that. I'm going to leave a legacy behind. Sacrifice everything and everyone. Some people don't care.
I mean, also were kind of similar to me financially. Like, we weren't balling, probably making around $50K a year, $40K a year, doing the training stuff at the gym. You know how the gym works. Like, you get paid probably 20%, if best, of what they're paying you per session, right? The going rate for those gyms that I was working at, the Equinox one in San Francisco, was $200 a session, right? Crazy, $200 a session. The one in Wellesley in Boston, Massachusetts was around $90 a session, $90 to $100 a session. So these were like higher price things. And so we would get a small percentage of that. We'd only get 20%. And I just understood. I was like, man, it's not what the whole like idea of women, like it just shattered my idea. Like it helped me understand that like you are not safe even with money. If you're one-dimensional, if you only have money, you're not safe. You gotta have multiple different attributes to you that wow the woman. You have to be in her fantasy consistently as a man. Like if you're jacked, you're in shape, and you're also making money, and you're also charismatic.
Yeah, but look at all the shit you got to do to keep one of these Western women. Why would a guy want to be jacked, be great, charismatic, James Bond, plus billions in the bank? Like, we're not talking about what the fuck's a woman got to do and what's her, gender expectations. Like, you don't have to be Superman with Batman's wallet outside of the Western world. That's part of the issue with this shit. It's like, I understand the bifurcation between, hey, you got to work on yourself. Don't let yourself get fat, bro. Trim your fucking beard. Don't have corn toes. Brush your nasty fucking teeth. Yeah? But at the same time, it's like, you can't be Mr. like gold dick, supreme fucking being on planet Earth, blessed by the gods, just to keep an average woman. Like, that's also insane ask of guys. So I think, realistically, it's, you do the best you can for yourself, for your health, for your mind, body, spirit. Get those aligned, and then find somebody that fits like a puzzle into your life. So all that other shit is stupid. To go above and beyond for somebody that's always going to feel like they settled for you, stupid. To go above and beyond for somebody that was broken by their parents or broken by society and told to hate men and all this, is stupid. Why work so hard for somebody like that? That's adversarial from the get-go. So I understand why some guys will say some shit like, what's the point of even trying? You don't try for women, you try for yourself. Now, if you find a woman along the way as you're building your dream life for who you are, then you hit the fucking jackpot. But other than that, telling dudes like you got to be this perfect specimen just to keep a woman is nutty too.
And you're also super competent in other areas of life, she will always be attracted to you for the most part. And you have the freedom to be able to do things with her and have adventures with her. Like a lot of these women would always tell me like, oh yeah, we go on vacation like once a year, because he's always traveling for work and stuff like that. And I'm always like with the kids and all of that. And they would tell me everything about their relationships, everything about their lives. And I would feel so bad for these guys because maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they just didn't give a fuck, honestly. Because I've also come across a lot of guys who are well off that don't give a fuck what their woman does because they're also doing some shit on the side and they're really just there to build the family, build the legacy, and just do whatever, right? This would typically happen. But it would be so interesting to understand how these women think and how they view their relationship and how they don't give a fuck about their relationship and how they see their relationship as almost a crutch to their life versus like something that is actually a benefit for them. I mean, they're benefiting with the money. They're benefiting with the guy who's ambitious, right? But they want the other things. They want the intangible thing or the tangible things that aren't necessarily as important as the money. And as I started to learn this, even when I was at Equinox, it was the same exact pattern, the same exact scenario. These rich women would come around, they would talk, they would over talk about their conversations with their husbands and their issues in the bedroom, their issues with his physical appearance, their issues with his over dedication to work. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, how ungrateful could you be? Like this guy that you're married to, this multi-millionaire, is out here doing everything possible to keep your life beautiful. But you go to this personal trainer who possibly would financially ruin your life.
Gold diggers.
To get.
He's rich. He married some gold diggers. He broke off a little piece of the nugget because he's got plenty of gold. And he said, here, make me some pretty babies, do your fucking job, and peace out. I got other shit to do. I got to keep digging for more and more gold.
Something, the 10% that you don't have. So it was an interesting dynamic where I realized that a lot of men think that like, okay, I can give.
Yeah, man, the advent of social media just messed everything up, honestly. No one's going to be happy anymore in any relationship. just go online, become depressed, compare yourself to everybody else. You know, you could be the wife of a multimillionaire, and because you didn't go to the Maldives this year like that other fucking Karen next door did, and you're seeing their perfect bullshit lives, and keeping up with the Joneses never ends. And you know, it's like you get this harpy next to you. Yeah, she's out drop dead gorgeous, but you can't fucking stand her, so you're always working, always making money, and blah 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 blah. And then this is how you get this life. And then you got a whole neighborhood of multi-millionaire harpies, bro. Just with these guys are always gone on business trips, making deals, being on the news, you know, building legacies, and the harpies are at home just angry. Like, I haven't went on my 6th trip to the Maldives, and the fucking yacht is in Monaco, and he's always on business. He doesn't care about me. And fucking so stupid. Love the hat. Thanks, bro. I saw someone say it's Vietnam Bow in here.
90%. And even if I don't have the 10%, it's fine. But they don't tend to realize the 10% that they ignore is the 90% that the woman wants. It goes both ways with relationships that I've noticed. When I've trained these women, I finally realized this. I was like, a lot of men think like I'm giving 90% of what I think she wants. And I don't have that 10%. In the woman's mind, he's giving nothing because there's the 10% that she wants is the 90% that he gives. And the 90% that she wants is only actually 0% of what he gives. So there's like a misalignment in what's being given on both sides, right? That's why men cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have in the household. That's why women cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have that means more to them than the 90% that they're getting. So it was a very interesting dynamic. And luckily for me, man, like I believe in karma, so I never, ever, ever shit where I eat, bro. Like never.
That's rare.
And I would just come away with so much more wisdom and so much more understanding of like women who actually are
that's rare
in marriages with successful men, like how they truly.
The dudes I knew that were doing the personal training thing were absolutely raw dogging all these married women.
We think how money is not everything. It is something. It is something that's very important. I'm not sitting here saying that you should not go get money and you should just get jacked and be broke and live whatever. Do both, because you can do both. And that's what I would always look at their husbands, and I'm like, bro, you could go to the gym. You're not traveling every single day. And even if you are traveling, there's a gym in that hotel. You can go train. You can take care of yourself. You don't have to look the way that you look. But they don't care because they're like money. Most of these guys were money hungry. To get to that level to where like these guys were making multi-million, they had like multi-millions of dollars in money that was coming into them every single year. They had these billion-dollar corporations, but they didn't give a fuck about their health because they just cared about the money. And I would see the relationship just like drift. And I would see the upcoming problems that would come in. A lot of these guys end up getting divorces, because they would come back into the gym a year or two later and be like, yeah, things didn't work out, man. Like everything went bad. And they would literally just like go to the gym and start to train because they realized, damn, I need to get in shape. I didn't take care of my body and stuff like that. They would talk about the sex life that they had. They would say how it was piss poor. And it just taught me so much, man. But like, I wanted to tell you guys this because I know a lot of us are here, like, you know, we're chasing the bag, we're chasing the money, we're chasing all these things. And we also do want to have women, right? We do. We are, you're attracted to women, right?
Okay. Interesting. Trust me, Martel, if you had the money, look, status, sex, etc., there would still be something wrong with you in her eyes. She has a problem being happy with herself, so she's on the lookout for external validation. Key, big key, right there. Told you from the get-go, this is a character flaw deeply embedded in these people. This is what you have to vet for. This is why I said social media use is so important, because the way people use social media, either for validation or for something like research, a tool for information, or just keeping up with family, in a more positive aspect, you're fine. But 99% of people are probably using it for external validation. And so it has a negative effect on their mentality. And you get a woman like that absolutely craves that online attention, you're fucking cooked, bro, no matter what you do. Literally, some like morons online will convince you're a woman while you're not doing enough. All right. You guys, dude, I watched this video and I was shocked, bro. You guys want to see what Paris looks like? What multiculturalism does?
It's a market that goes on not every day, but it's certainly because it's Sunday and it's happening. I thought it would be interesting to have a look at this market.
This is crazy, dude.
What you're going to find is it's probably
Keep in mind, this is Paris, guys.
easy to describe this while we're here because it's going to get really busy here, and it's probably going to be very difficult to describe when we're over there.
Yeah.
These guys are legitimate. They've got licenses.
Yeah,
So-
I was just about to ask about that.
So this man has paid for a license. They paid for a license. So they don't mind being on camera. These guys here are on the cleanup crew because at 2:30 the market ends, and the cleanup could take all day. But there's a lot of money spent on cleanup. You start seeing people packing away.
Yeah, cultural
But the
enrichment.
people in the middle that will just be selling on boxes, they don't have licenses. They won't like you filming. So they might think you're the cops, they might think you're the council. So just bear that in mind as you're pointing the camera in the direction. Most people are just going to hopefully
They're
think
covering
it's a
their
tourist
faces.
and just sort of look away. They might hide their faces, but some of them will say, stop filming, stop filming. So just bear that in mind.
Do they get in trouble sometimes, get ticketed, or any type of consequence?
The theory is yes, it does happen. But here's the thing, they're undercutting the people that are paying their licenses. So the amount of money it takes to clean up these
Bro,
sort of
look
areas
at this
is
shit.
huge.
This is Marché Barbes. To the casual observer, it looks like a market. This is
It
not
looks
the
like
romantic
shit.
Paris of fresh baguettes and artisanal cheese.
It is super crowded in here. We're basically under a bridge. This bridge train will take you from the Gare du Nord station, to take you east, to take you west. It's a train. We're underneath those train tracks. During night, I wouldn't really want to be here. But daytime, it's a market, bustling market.
You won't find
Bustling.
neatly curated displays or charming French chatter drifting through the air. What you find here is raw,
Lord.
unfiltered, unmanaged survival. The stalls sell mostly food, vegetables, fruit, raw meat. Piles of onions are stacked next to battered crates of tomatoes. Fish is on display. The smell
Bro, this is the third world. This is like what you see in North Africa and African countries, Arab countries. Look at how the fish here. Can you even see where this fish is? Let me double check. Yeah, these fish here are. Where's the ice? Where's the hygiene? How are they handling this? Shit's disgusting.
hanging heavy in the air, blending with exhaust fumes
Paris.
and a subtle undercurrent of decay. Occasionally, you'll see cheap clothes, low-grade textiles shipped from factories thousands of miles away. But make no mistake, this is not commerce in the traditional sense. This is a byproduct of demographic engineering, a market zone designed, intentionally or not, to fracture the city, to
Where are the
displace its
Parisians?
heritage, to dilute the nation. People call this multiculturalism, but that word has been weaponized to conceal the truth. What's happening here is not cultural exchange, it's the construction of an economic zone carved out of the city's fabric. There to film it,
I'm a tourist.
Melting pot.
So, ignore that guy. Yeah, sure.
When I go to Istanbul
Yeah,
last year,
yeah.
I got on the tram with
Yeah.
with my wife.
What the hell?
Oh, yeah.
The photo.
Yeah, still allowed. We're in a public place.
Don't worry.
Where are you from originally?
I was born here,
Yeah, but where's
but
your...
I am from Algeria.
Algeria, yeah.
Yes.
In Algeria it might be forbidden, but in Paris it's fine.
Where do you come from?
I'm an Englishman.
English?
English, yeah. Anglais?
I have brother to live Leighton.
Leighton. I know.
Bro, where are the fucking Frenchmen?
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
I will be very careful.
Have a good drive. Have a good...
Bonne journée, bonne journée, monsieur.
You turned an enemy into a friend.
And usually that's how you have to roll. what I find amazing is
Look at the food. This is just meat just sitting out there in this hot ass summer.
how people. This is how refrigerated you think that is.
No gloves, G. Look at him.
It's this meat. Some of the places you'll see it will be.
This is third world hygiene. For real. This is like the shit I saw when I was in Thailand. You know, they have every restaurant you pass, they have the fish just sitting there out in the sun all day and just shit your brains out if you ever eat anything seafood.
Sitting in the sun.
Yeah, and like because it's not at the temperature, I guess bacteria grows, right?
Those who still cling to the picture postcard image of Paris
Golly,
really
bro.
haven't walked these streets. Here at Marché Barbes, we see a different kind of Paris, the result of decades of managed decline, demographic engineering, and the silent dismantling of the nation state. They call this diversity, they call it progress, but let's speak plainly. What you see here is a product of policies the French never voted for, the deliberate mass importation of people, not by invitation of the public. Where unity
skip it because the music,
dissolves and the share.
These guys don't have licenses, and this guy's going to be. Now he's going to say, yeah. So if you want to get something even cheaper, then over.
So the people
This is imagine this is during the day and they're already confrontational for a camera being there.
people on the sides do have licenses.
Careful, because that goes up. So really careful. Yeah, the guys on the side have a license. The guys in the middle, they don't have a license.
Where are the French?
So, selling tins of tuna, shoes. I mean, from a perspective, they've got to start somewhere, but at the same time, they're undercutting legitimate people.
You'd think in a democratic society in a public space, filming anger results on liberty.
This shit's crazy.
Okay.
Bro, look at the state of this place. This looks like shit. This is Paris and it looks like horse shit. Oh my lord, bro. It's shocking because, you know, you come to a fourth or third world place, like, or second world, whatever they designate. It's like now considered like first world, but Romania, you know, like Bucharest. And I'm, you know, first time coming, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to expect. Hopefully they've modernized. And then Romanians coming back from visiting Paris are the ones that are going, fuck that. You don't want to go to Paris. Like, don't, avoid Paris. Don't go there. Like, when Eastern Europeans say that shit, they're like, it's fucking dangerous. It's a hellhole. There's nothing but fucking animals there, dude. That, you know, it's fallen dramatically.
Look around, the infrastructure groans
look
under
at
the weight
this.
of the crowd. The streets are littered, the buildings neglected, and the city's civic order dissolves in the face of numbers and political inertia.
We have to mute it just because of the music, but look at the state of this place. Does this look like France to you? How's multiculturalism a W? What the fuck?
Faut pas filmer.
Why no filming?
C'est ça, il faut pas filmer.
She's just tourists.
Ah, c'est touriste.
Just tourists, you know, taking in the culture.
Quoi?
Tourist.
Imagine if this chick was alone, trying to film this by herself.
On n'a rien à foutre du tourisme.
Oh,
Pas filmer. C'est pas dessin, c'est pas filmer, c'est pas bon.
But what's the
C'est
problem?
pas bon. Va filmer à Champs-Élysées. Moi par là, Sacré-Cœur. C'est pas ici du film.
Fucking
Okay.
streets are
Okay,
filthy,
okay.
dude.
Okay, sir. Hey, just relax. He's a tourist. Just a tourist.
He's a tourist. He's a tourist.
Yeah, that's fine. You know? Oh, yeah. Just play innocent because the worst thing you could say is if you're a journalist. And there's a reason for this because everything they're doing is entirely illegal.
I've been hearing. Okay, so like you're saying that it's illegal, they still do it. Yeah. I mean,
I'm getting.
They're getting yelled at again. Look at it.
It's a lot compared to back there.
Look, we're selling trinkets on a fucking blanket. There's some glasses here and whatever else. This is Paris. I have to remind you. This is probably the wealthiest capital, I think, by GDP in all of Europe.
Everyone here is breaking the law.
As we walk past the entrance to Barb's Loge Clots, out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing it quiet, casual, like it's normal. Smokes being sold through the fence to people stepping off the metro. A little further down, the
What in the world?
not subtle, just happening. The cameras might not catch it.
C'est combien? 10 euros. Expensive. Very expensive. Not some? No, madame. No.
The demographic change is absolutely brutal. We've noticed it here in Croatia. We noticed it in Romania. It's everywhere. There's no welfare states here, so when the migrants come, they don't stay. Obviously, they go to places like France and Germany and the Nordic countries and just mooch off the socialist model that they have. They get free basically everything. In some places, it started to change. I believe Netherlands just passed something. But this is so disgusting.
Lines, nations are just paperwork. Retreat, a society that no longer...
Like over here, you see the changes are gradual. Actually, not even gradual, really quickly. All the Uber drivers that deliver food, the taxis, and front of house workers like cashiers and stuff, all foreigners now. All of them. And then gradually they replace the population. And then like you can count how many foreigners you see versus how many natives you'll see. And it'll be like, the ratio is getting insane. For example, in the capital, the ratios will be like, depending where you are, 1-to-1, 2-to-1 foreigner to native. Yeah. The change in the last 15, 20 years is rapid. I mean, this is fucked. This looks like absolute shit. No licenses, selling trinkets, used clothes, whatever. Fucking, there's a pan here, dirty ass hats, all this shit. These are the doctors and engineers, right? We're being enriched by dudes selling a fucking pan on the side of the road here. This looks like some fucking market in the middle of Africa somewhere. We're selling fucking nasty, dirty Air Forces right here. Is that even Nike, really? Or that check mark's looking a little suspect. Unreal. Most common name in the UK is Muhammad. Doctors and engineers, bro. Multiculturalist society. We can't wait to have them. And it's like, this shit's crazy. What Western governments have done to their nations is a criminal act unprecedented in human history. Yeah. And they let it happen. You don't think they know? Like, really? You don't think the cops drive by here and just know every single one of these people is doing some illegal shit? The government is complicit in all of this. Just like the Democrats in America were complicit in open borders. The governments know what the fuck they're doing. Why they're doing it, I don't know. Who knows? What is the reason that a nation would open up its borders, have its treasury basically empty, the coffers run dry, supporting these invaders? Why? And what's really annoying is that at first they said that they were, what did it say? They were asylum seekers, right? Refugees of war. Why is it all men? Every single one is men. The entire boat is filled with men. There are no women and children. Men. So make that make sense. And then the UK's went completely bonkers. I believe it was the UK or Ireland, where now they're training them. They're training police forces with these foreign men. It's like the collapse of the Roman Empire on steroids. Instead of it taking hundreds of years, we're achieving it in like a few decades. Yeah, Paris once stood for style, beauty, and culture. Now it stands for chaos, lawlessness, and degradation. Nothing lasts forever. It could if we actually cared about our own culture, our own people, and we could preserve that forever. It's not hard. It's just who's causing this. Got to start asking questions. Paris is no longer French, London is no longer English, and Dublin is no longer Irish. Most European capital cities are on their way to becoming foreign enclaves. All will eventually end up like Lebanon. Oof. Yeah, this is a hellhole. Yeah, seeing this shit, I didn't see this, but went to Italy too, saw a little bit of it here and there, was when my mind was made up, it has to be America, for sure. Countryside, land, guns, fucking right off from the city, from all this stuff. The cities are the first to fall. America is the same thing. Who wants to live in LA or all these other places? They look like shit, these Democrat cities specifically. Yeah. You got to go. I think people are going to start emptying out to the countryside. So, apparently there's been floods in Texas and something like 50 something people have been killed.
Tonight, breaking news, the desperate search for the missing after catastrophic and deadly flash flooding in central Texas. And now the tropical storm exploding in size overnight. We begin tonight with breaking news, the desperate search for the missing after catastrophic and deadly flash flooding in central Texas. More than 40 people are dead in Kerr County, including more than a dozen children swept away in the fast-moving floodwaters. These new images showing the devastation and destruction at Camp Mystic, an all-girls Christian summer camp where dozens are still missing. But the total number of those unaccounted for is unclear. The floodwaters swiftly washing away homes and vehicles, leaving behind a trail of mud, debris, and heartbreak. In neighboring Travis County, flash flooding also turning deadly, with several still missing. The severe weather threat in Texas is not over yet, and now a new tropical storm, Chantal, taking aim at the southeast. Our weather team is standing by with the forecast, but first, ABC's Maria Villarreal leads us off tonight from Kerrville, Texas.
Tonight, deadly flash flooding engulfing several parts of Texas. Authorities say at least 40 killed. 3 deaths are being linked to major flooding in Travis County overnight, and at least 11 are still missing. The San Gabriel River today also overflowing. Flash floods there prompting evacuations. And in Kerrville, just north.
Rest in peace to those that lost their lives. I wonder what the government response is going to be. I know Texas expanded the national emergency that they declared earlier, but what is the federal government going to do? I'm curious.
Northwest of San Antonio, first responders continue to battle treacherous conditions as the death toll rises to at least 43, 15 of them children. Authorities now saying they are moving from rescue to recovery.
What makes you feel like this has gone from rescue to potential recovery? Because there is a difference.
We will eventually get to the recovery.
Crews searching for the countless still missing from those devastating 4th of July floods. But those still missing include over 24 young girls from Camp Mystic. These images showing the devastation at the campsite. The beds in the cabins complete.
Could you imagine being a parent and you dropped your kid off for summer camp and then you get this kind of news? Jeez, man.
Completely upended. An all-girls Christian summer camp that hosted over 750 kids.
As far as unknown other missing, we do not have an accurate count, and we don't even want to begin to estimate at this time.
The Guadalupe River rising 26 feet in less than an hour.
How is that possible? How can a river rise 26 feet in less than an hour? No warning, whatever. Like, okay, flash flooding, I understand. But seriously, no early warning of some kind. 26 feet in 1 hour? How does that happen? Do you understand? That's 2.5 floors. Look at any building you're looking at. If one floor is 10 feet, that's 2.5. That's fucking insane, bro. Almost 3 stories. 1 hour. Do you imagine you see the water coming and you climb up a tree? Okay, and then you go climb up a tree. Yeah, did some dams break? Something. Do we have an explanation? Was there a catastrophic failure of a dam? How else can you possibly explain 26 feet in 60 minutes? Do you understand that even if you're a good climber, climb up some fucking tree, even the tree probably wouldn't save your ass? Where do you escape the power of the flood? You see how the cars were crushed?
Video showing some of the aftermath. Debris stuck in the upper branches of these trees in Center Point, Texas.
Help is coming!
This woman clinging onto a tree after she was swept downriver. Lorena Guillen runs Howdy's restaurant nearby.
For the 4th of July in Kerrville, when it was perfect weather for fireworks, this place was packed. I mean, every single hotel RV park was full.
She says all the RVs here were washed away.
We had all the EMS and rescue team trying to save a family that was at the river, clinging for life, and they couldn't get to them.
You heard them.
We all heard them.
This area got more than a foot of rain in a matter of hours, swelling the Guadalupe River, sending floodwaters streaming into neighborhoods and communities, overwhelming campgrounds. You can
How hard was it rain? A foot of water? What?
See the absolute power of this storm and the raging floodwaters by looking just right behind me. You can see a trailer wrapped around this giant tree, and across the river, you can see what looks like a mobile home.
Pierce Boyette and his brother Ruffin managing to escape from nearby Camp Lahuna with the help of heroic staff.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we had bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
The White House monitoring the situation. The Trump administration saying they intend to help.
The federal government needs to be here for the support and extra resources on the ground as well, and that is what we are doing.
Maria Villarreal joining us now from Kerrville. Maria, we can see some of that debris behind you. Give us a sense of what people there in Texas are going to be facing in the hours ahead.
Well, you know, Whit, as of right now, we do know the disaster declaration has been expanded for the state of Texas, adding 6 more new counties. The federal government also saying they're going to issue their own disaster declaration to help out as well.
Crazy.
But as you just mentioned, this is all about the community. You can see right behind me, people are cleaning up. These are all volunteers doing whatever they can to pick up the debris, knowing that over the next few days, we're going to see more weather hitting this area. Whit.
A long and difficult road ahead. Maria, thank you. Let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station, WABC. And Danny, you're tracking both the flood emergency in Texas and the new tropical threat in the southeast.
Yeah, well, we have the updated track for Tropical Storm Chantal, but we'll start first with the rain in central Texas because heavy rain continues to fall near Austin. I know that's not what we want to hear. This does wrap up tonight with the flash flood watches expiring around 10 p.m. local time. But for now, the flooding continues in parts of Travis County, Williamson County, and Burnett County. Now let's talk tropics as Tropical Storm Chantal crawls toward the coastline. Conditions will deteriorate tonight with landfall.
So conditions will deteriorate. Now we have a tropical storm about the land. And this one is where? In Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and Raleigh. Wow. Damn, America's getting hammered.
Fall expected between about midnight and sunrise tomorrow morning. Heavy rain, gusty wind. We have tropical storm warnings in effect near the coast, including Myrtle Beach. Again, the heavy rain, 2 to 4 inches, can produce flash flooding. The gusty wind can cause problems as well. Continued to see the scattered showers and storms through Sunday morning in the Carolinas, but even
Yeah, I'm really curious now. Somebody said almost all of America is becoming uninsurable. I wonder what the insurance companies, they already were trying to decline a bunch of claims from the fires in California. What's going to happen to these houses here? Are they going to pull out of the states? Because these insurance companies are gladly taking everybody's money, but when it's time to pay out, they look for every little excuse in the book. Oh, on page 1037, section D, subsect 2 states that XYZ makes it so that we're not liable for damages. Like, that's fucking nuts.
Even as the remnants move inland, rough surf and rip currents will continue to impact the southeast coast through the remainder of the holiday weekend.
Yeah, multiple threats we'll be watching. Danny Beckstrom, thank you. We appreciate it. And as we just noted there, Chantal is bringing the risk of dangerous rip currents to parts of the East Coast, coming as many are flocking to the beaches over the long holiday weekend. Some beaches advising people to stay out of the water. And several people were injured after fireworks exploded on a boat in Alabama during 4th of July celebrations. It's just the latest in a series of fireworks mishaps, some of them deadly. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Jeez, man. Yeah, those poor kids. How many dead? Texas flooding. Let's see if there's any updates on that. Because how many? $51 dead, 27 girls missing, 27 girls. Look at that looks crazy.
Oh my God. There's people in it. Oh my God, there's so many
houses are moving. That's wild.
Texas was gripped by chaos as a slow-moving storm system unloaded a torrent of rain across the hill country, submerging entire communities. Kerr and Kendall counties were among the hardest hit, with homes, roads, and lives swallowed by water in the dead of night.
Oh my God, oh my God. Oh no.
Holy
oh my
crap.
God. What the? Oh no.
Get out!
Someone's in the car.
Get out!
Someone's in that car. That's crazy.
Get out of your car!
And go where? Go where? If it has the power to sweep a car away, where do you go? Get out and swim? Where?
God.
There you go. 6:08 a.m. Guadalupe River.
Bro, get the fuck out of it. Why are you even filming that close to the water? Like, if it rose 26 feet, some people, like Darwinism is a thing with some people. They're like, hey, let me stand here and just film all this shit. Get the fuck out of there.
At Nimitz Dam on Guadalupe Street.
In Hunt and the surrounding hills, more than 10 inches of rain fell within just a few hours, overwhelming already saturated ground. River gauges spiked rapidly, and the Guadalupe River surged past 25 feet in places, reaching its second highest crest in recorded history.
Wow. Holy hell, look at the power of that. Jeez, man. If you've ever swam in a river or creek and felt the power of water, it doesn't even have, like, you don't know how completely useless you are and at the mercy of Mother Nature if you've ever jumped in a creek that even has decent moving water. Just a creek, let alone this. How much you can get, how easily you get swept out by water of this magnitude, I can't understand. I can't overstate to you guys, actually. Fuck, man. I've jumped off of waterfalls before. I've jumped into creeks that had fast-moving sections. There's no outswimming, nothing. It's hard to even stay afloat to get air. This is crazy.
Water rushed into neighborhoods without warning, turning highways into rivers and backyards into lakes, catching families off guard. Drivers abandoned vehicles, campers fled in darkness, and 911 calls poured in as the emergency escalated across multiple counties.
1812 Coke Street. Still waiting on water rescue. If anyone has any boats or jet skis to help us get my in-laws and...
Yeah, you got to do a basically go to the roof immediately. At 26 feet, you have to be on the roof line. You're not escaping it on the second story.
The other elderly on the road out.
Dude, and the pain that you must have felt, like rest in peace. Like, it's not clear water that you're used to swimming in. There's fucking sharp sticks. There's branches everywhere. Whatever other debris is possible in the water that impales you. When you're being dragged by the current at that kind of speed, and even something small, like a stick, will impale your body under that murky ass brown water. You can't even see. Like, do you know how mangled a body gets when you mix in debris in water like this? Fuck, man.
Confirmed fatalities rose throughout the day as the storm's toll spread across Kerr County, Hill County, and the Concho Valley. Authorities reported dozens of people unaccounted for. Some feared swept away from campsites, cabins, or cars along rapidly rising rivers.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
What is that, a house? Yeah, if you're blessed enough to buy property in the United States, you have to do some serious research on places that are tornado prone, flood prone, whatever else prone, honest, fire prone. There's no point. The government's not coming to help you. By the time you get any form of restitution, if there's any, or the insurance payouts, your life is altered forever. Your valuables are gone. You have to move. You have to move somewhere that's like geologically safe. This shit's this is incredible.
Guadalupe River. This is 173. Not good.
Kerrville's streets vanished beneath floodwater, forcing residents to climb rooftops or
Wow,
trees
look at all the
while awaiting
water.
rescue. Makeshift shelters in schools and churches filled with evacuees who had escaped with nothing but the soaked clothes on their backs.
Y'all, look at this. Oh my God. Crazy.
That looks insane, bro.
Drove over to this parking lot that has this lookout. There's other people here doing.
Someone said just get a canoe and ride that shit out. There's your canoe, bro. That's you, and they're upside down, drowned. That's you right there.
We are having major floods in Kerrville, Texas. Look at this stuff.
Rip canoe, bro.
Unbelievable.
Camp Mystic, a well-known all-girls retreat near Hunt, suffered severe flooding as cabins collapsed and children became separated. Rescue crews waded through debris to find missing campers, while worried parents waited for updates that never came fast enough.
Away from that flash flood.
Is this the worst one in years? Or has there been flooding worse than this? 26 feet in 1 hour. God, look at the water, man. Oh my.
Other camps, including Sierra Vista and Rio Vista, took on major water damage but reported no children present when the storm struck. Camps Waldemar, Mo Ranch, and
So are we going to get a body count over 100 from this? Unfortunately, it seems like the numbers are going to shoot up dramatically. How many camps were swept away like this?
La Junta reported that all staff and campers were accounted for, though access remained dangerous.
There's no surviving this. Someone said most camps were closed for the 4th. Wow. That's... Imagine you got the news your camp was closed for the 4th. What if this happened on a weekend after the 4th and everybody was back at camp? These numbers would shoot up dramatically. Wow. Wow, the luck. This shit is crazy.
And swept off foundations.
This is Kerrville, Texas.
It was Kerrville, Texas. Not anymore. Shit. Please wear rubber boots in contaminated floodwater. My late husband became infected with the few bacteria that led to gangrene, then partial amputations of both feet. He suffered for 2 years, then passed away. Jeez, bro. So you get swept out for miles away. Flood water is like 20 plus 26 feet in 1 hour. And then you get got by bacteria. You survive. You hang on to trees. You get impaled by fucking logs and shit and sticks and glass and whatever. And then you get killed by contaminated water that you accidentally... it went down your throat because you're gasping for air trying to survive being sucked in by undercurrents and shit. And then you somehow survive that only for your limbs to get chopped off because you get gangrene. The fuck? But we got Canoe Bro. He's like, I'm just canoe my way out of there. Dude's upside down. You just swallow a little bit of water. And then that's your ass. Enjoy half of your fucking body chopped off by gangrene. Unreal. Unreal. Those poor kids. Survival stories.
One of the hardest hit spots from the flooding, as Mike mentioned, is Camp Mystic. It's in Kerr County. Camp Mystic did not evacuate before the floods hit. Joining us now for tonight's big close-up is Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for being here. Tell me for a moment, I know we still have outstanding campers that are missing. Have the families been contacted yet? Have you turned up any of these girls? I know these families are frantic. In fact, I know one of them.
Yeah, Raymond, let me paint a quick picture for you. There are about 15 camps along the Guadalupe that we were checking yesterday when this all began. And Camp Mystic was the one where we were not able to account for everyone. And now that number is 27. There were 750 campers in just that camp alone. There were several thousand along the river. And the gentleman named Delton, who's the city manager in Kerrville, said he was out jogging at 3:30 in the morning and there wasn't a drop of rain and the river was normal. And by the time he showered and got dressed for the morning, suddenly the river rose, as Mike Tobin just said, about 26 to 30 feet in 45 minutes.
Holy hell.
With the power of a freight train running through what was a dry creek, just a rapid pace, destroying everything in its way. So one of the things that Camp Mystic did yesterday is they had the phone numbers of everyone that was at their camp. And so they called those that were missing. They didn't try to call the 750 and say your daughters are safe. They called, which I thought was very smart, and they called the ones who are missing and said, we are searching for them. So we had a good idea very early of where
30
we were.
feet in 45 minutes.
We surged 400 to 500 people in immediately. Helicopters, we had as many helicopters in the air as we could get safely with drones.
Guadalupe River to rise nearly 30 feet in 45 minutes.
Crazy.
How wide is the search perimeter, and are enough resources being provided by the local, state, and federal government to assist in the search and rescue?
Dude, it's hard to like conceptualize what a 30-foot rise in 45 minutes even looks like. That's insane.
In the water, and it's still it's still a fluid situation. You know, you can see the water still running down quickly. When I was there all day yesterday, it was still moving pretty swiftly. So, you know, you have so much debris you see above the water. It's unbelievable, the damage, but you also have debris under the water. So it's this, and I'm saying rescue and recovery. We're doing both.
Yeah.
If we find a child or an adult.
Oh no, these are the kids that are missing. Dude. That sucks.
Alive, we're rescuing them. And if we find someone, a deceased individual, then we're going to recover them. So we are not giving up this rescue attempt. We're holding out for miracles that can still happen. I'm overwhelmed. I have 8 grandchildren, guys, and I talked to one of the parents of the missing children this morning who texted me, and all I could do is just say, you know, I got to hug you when I see you. There are no words except, again, we stand on the rock of our faith, and we'll do everything in our power to find your child, hopefully alive, and to find your child if not. And so these 27, and again, there were many visitors there. This was a 4th of July weekend. It's a town of 20,000 in the middle of kind of central Texas, in the hill country as we call it. But there were thousands of visitors. So we don't even know, in terms of people along the banks and the tents and the rental properties, we don't even know all of those people yet. But there were I do know there was an entire family swept away. The soccer coach at the high school, his wife and himself and the children. I know of another family, the entire family swept away. This is the hardest event I've ever been involved in, 10 years as lieutenant governor. We've had a lot of tragedies, but anytime you have children involved, it's the worst. And we've had children involved in other tragedies. But the parents who didn't know, that's what hurt the most. Yeah. Many of the parents knew. And again, all the other camps that were down the river, they accounted for everyone. It was this one camp and this one area of the camp that was low, where most of the young girls, 10, 11, and 12, are missing or saved or deceased. So it's a very hard time. I flew back last night late, and I was next to one of the divers, and I said to him, I don't want to mention his name. I said, "Did you rescue anyone today?" He said, "Only those deceased." This is hard on everyone. It's hard on these families, and I just want the families to know we will not stop till we find your child.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Governor, I want to ask you about Camp Mystic. According to the Associated Press, both AccuWeather and the National Weather Service sent out warnings about flash floodings before the devastation. There was a general flood warning that went out about 12 hours before and a flash flood warning that went out about 3 hours before, but it was sent out very early in the morning. Now, AccuWeather said that the camps in the region, including Camp Mystic, should have been evacuated. So did Texas officials do enough to warn campers of the storm?
$1 million question.
And should they have been evacuated sooner?
I will leave all those questions to be answered later. Right now, we're trying to rescue anyone we can find alive and recover those.
What happened to the warning systems? Who's liable for this?
That are deceased. But I'll say this, that the National Weather Forecast predicted minor flooding, minor event a day before. And when that warning did go out, and I have all the charts I've seen. When that warning went out, it was about 12 hours before, and the flash flood was like 3 hours before 5 in the morning. So we'll go back and examine all of.
How did that happen? So someone said ban this guy. 1 second. There you go. That's so sad for the families. Damn.
Of that. The one thing always to remember, and I don't know if there's fault. If there's fault, we'll find it and we'll fix it.
Why is it always so fucking late with everything? It's so annoying. Why do we only make changes when it's like lives lost? You notice that? Every single fucking time there's changes that need to be made, it's only after people lose their lives. We move at the last possible fucking moment that we possibly can. That shit is crazy. All right. On the other front, when it comes to battling big pharma that's keeping us sick, apparently RFK Jr. is making some progress on this.
Welcome back to My View. The media called him a danger to democracy. Democrat elites tried to silence him. And the so-called experts, the ones who gave us the lockdowns, mandates, and a nation sicker than ever, they smeared him as a conspiracy theorist. But now the American people are telling a different story. New polling shows Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s agenda, from cracking down on ultra-processed foods to exposing toxic additives, has broad support across party lines. Why? Because people are fed up with being told to trust the experts while our health collapses and big food and pharma rake in billions. RFK Jr. is tearing up the old playbook. He fired the government's entire vaccine advisory panel and brought in a new team to rebuild trust from the ground up. He's also announced a sweeping overhaul of federal dietary guidelines, demanding transparency and accountability across the board. So
I want beef tallow on my burgers and fries. Period. I want to go wherever. If I want to eat some garbage Carl's Jr., if I want some ass McDonald's, Burger King, I want that shit in tallow. Okay, In-N-Out, if you're listening, tallow only. Do not give me motherfucking peanut oil, vegetable oil, any other oil. I want tallow again. Make tallow great again. Cook everything in tallow, damn it. Take the food dyes out of everything. They need to punish these people that don't use tallow. I don't want machine oil, machine lubricants on my fucking burgers. It's not that burgers are inherently bad. It's the fact that they're cooked in machine lubricants with fake bread that's made out of sugar and some other crazy shit. The patty can't, like the bun, excuse me, can't even qualify. And the patty. The bun can't qualify as a fucking bread. And the patty itself is made out of slop. Like hooves and fucking ligaments and tendons and pus. Burgers are not inherently unhealthy, but the ingredients are so dog shit that everybody gets sick from eating it. That's what's fucked up.
Caught up with the secretary as he works to put health back into Health and Human Services. Secretary Kennedy, thank you so much for sitting down with me. 1 year ago today, you were running for president as a Democrat, and now you are arguably the most consequential HHS secretary, maybe in American history. Would you have ever imagined all that's happened and sort of where you'd be right now?
I would have bet a lot of money against it.
Yeah, but it's been a journey for you.
it has been a journey, and you know, a lot of it, Laura, has felt providential. You know, I literally spent years praying every morning that I would be in a position where I could address this chronic disease epidemic in kids, and that God would put me in a, you know, a place where I could do that. And now I'm in that place, and I'm very grateful to the president. You know, he's allowed me to populate this agency with extraordinary scientists. You can't have real science if you don't have integrity, if you don't have a free flow of information, and that we can share knowledge with each other.
Someone asked, do I feel the difference in grocery store food between the United States and Romania? Yeah, 100%. Food here is actually real. Where do I even begin? Any American food in Europe tastes different because they have regulations by the EU. Thousands of chemicals and preservatives are banned. And so everything changes. The taste changes. Even McDonald's tastes different. A Coca-Cola tastes different. Everything's different. And then you have the fruits and the vegetables themselves. Far more real in terms of like the GMO shit is not as common. If you go to a place, if you go to their version of Walmart, if you go to their big stores, you will find more GMO slop. It's true. But the corner stores, they still have little markets. You can still find food that are grown locally, sourced locally, and they'll have like chickens, like eggs, for example, will have dirt and feathers on them still. The tomatoes will look lopsided and fucking weird, misshapen, stuff that you won't see in America. But when you go to an American grocery store, everything looks perfect. The strawberries are big, bright, red, huge as fuck. No strawberries really look like that. The tomatoes never have any misshapen or any markings or anything on them. They're perfectly round, red, and like they have no taste. There's no taste. For American produce, everything tastes like cardboard, watery. There's no flavor in anything. Yes, it lasts on the shelves a long time. You buy a piece of bread here, it's moldy in like 3 fucking days. You buy a piece of bread in the United States, that shit stays forever. It takes forever for that shit to go moldy. Whatever you buy here in Europe goes bad very, very quickly. Only in America could you really buy food and just like leave it in the cupboard and like come back and that shit's still good, just like how you bought it weeks later. That's not a thing here in Europe. Right, well, you have to eat what you buy. So shopping habits are different between Europeans and Americans. In America, we like to go to like, Costco or Walmart, wherever it is that you buy, and we buy bulk. We prefer bulk. When I was shopping, I was Costco, and I bought bulk. I love buying bulk. If I could go once a week, once a month to the store, that'd be even better. But in Europe, and it drives me fucking insane, dude. I hate grocery shopping. My woman goes like every 2 days, every day. She's there. She's like, well, why not? It's next door, and I could walk there and buy fresh food. But your American mind can't comprehend going to the store every single day to get fresh produce. But that's how they do it here. And the food is completely different in size. Like the chicken breasts in America are jacked up, roided. They look like roided up super chickens. In Europe, the chicken breasts are tiny. What else do you notice? The fruit's very tiny, very flavorful. Yeah, it's just so different, man.
RFK Jr. made sure companies use healthier ingredients, but the transition should be mandated by 2027. Why do we have to wait that long for that mandate, I wonder? Sarcasm.
You already know why. I think some companies already announced that they were going to, before, right, needed, that they were going to remove red dye or whatever other, like, whatever dye it is that they were announcing ahead of time. Companies need to retool their formulations in the United States so that they don't lose millions of dollars. But what they won't tell you is that they already have retooled formulations overseas, some places literally next door, like in Canada, where they sell to them the formulations that are healthier, but they'll tell you in America that it's going to cost millions of dollars to make these changes. That's bullshit. It already exists. You're already selling the healthier product. Why not sell the healthier product in America? That's part of the thing that makes this so fucking It's so mind-blowing. You sell the healthy version. How are you gaslighting me and telling me that you can't because it costs you too much money, it's too expensive, and you have to retool everything? But you do it overseas already. So why are you selling me poison? And then they'll turn around and get government subsidies. Taxpayer money subsidizing them to poison you. How fucked is that? How, like these corporations are fucking disgusting. You cannot hate them enough. You can't hate them enough. They gaslight the absolute dog shit out of you, and then will come groveling for taxpayer money to help them and help them with subsidies while killing you slowly. Fuck you. That's incredible.
And debate that knowledge, and they're all against this regime of control, of centralized control, and of information, of censorship, of using this agency to manipulate the truth in order to achieve an outcome of compliance among Americans. There's all kind of biases, and we need to have a system in place that will account for those biases and that will produce the best gold standard science for Americans and evidence-based medicine.
Well, and we're hopeful that that's exactly what the next 4 years brings us here at HHS. Where did this passion for nutrition, for health, for fitness come from in you? Because, I mean, to be able to make the change necessary, it really does have to be a passion, I think.
Well, you know, I was raised in a house with 11 brothers and sisters, and I had somewhere around 70 first cousins. I know what a healthy child looks like. And I started seeing children, a generation of kids coming up that was just damaged, that was suffering from autoimmune diseases like juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. I was looking around and saying, why is nobody talking about this? And so I found myself talking more and more about it. And becoming more and more isolated, because it was, the culprits, the potential culprits for this epidemic of chronic disease are all very powerful industries, and they're all the people who have the biggest army of lobbyists on Capitol Hill. And it was in nobody's interest to actually, financial interest, none of those very powerful entities to actually look at the problem, because they were frightened about what they would find. And it would interfere with corporate profit taking. We're going to be able to show what the culprits are.
And you imagine like things like Luigi's happening, and the media tried to make a big stink about it. Like, oh, how are we turning into such savages that CEOs are getting murdered? Poor CEOs are getting murdered who literally poison the fucking dog shit out of everybody. And then the populace doesn't care whatsoever. Shocker to absolutely everybody. You deny people. First, like this is how insidious the system is. You feed people poison knowingly, right? Knowingly feeding them poison. You gaslight them and tell them that we can't change the formulations because it's way too costly. Our bottom line, the prices of your food will go up, while you sell the healthy version overseas and next door. So after poisoning the people, you then make them get health insurance that also does not do anything, because once you're sick and you go into the system, they'll deny you for even basic fucking treatments or make you pay out the ass with a copay. That's absolutely insane. And then after denying them treatment, you're condemned to a slow death, and they tell you this is the most powerful country on earth, the wealthiest, the best country ever, as you worked your entire life eating poison, putting in work, paying your taxes to be slowly killed off, left behind by a system that doesn't give a fuck about you. And have the gall to ask, why did something like Luigi happen? Why? I wonder. If more of those would happen in the future, for more people that fall through this net, that have been forgotten, that become disgruntled. I wonder. I wouldn't be shocked if it actually did. I'm not condoning it, of course, but do I understand? Of course I do. How fucked is it? You work your ass off. You did everything right. You pay into the system. They feed you poison. Your government's not looking out for your health. The food off of the fucking rafters that you grab from the aisle in the store actually is killing you slowly, causing systemic inflammation, chronic diseases. And when you go to your trusted expert doctor, he is in the hands of big pharma because he gets kickbacks from prescribing you medicine you'll probably be hooked on for life that never solves your problem, just chronically treats you forever because there's no money in solving diseases. So what happens to you after that? Oh my God, bro, you die a slow, painful death taking 30 million fucking pills a day just to live. Jeez Louise.
Ken Rose sent $10. Thumbs up emoji. Greetings, Bo. You said on one of your other streams that one of your family members does truck driving in Europe. Is having a CDS/the EU equivalent more lucrative in the USA or the EU?
EU, not even, or sorry, the USA. The EU sucks. The EU has regulations. They don't want you driving too many hours. There's things that monitor how many miles you're putting in. There's massive limitations. The amount of money you can make as a truck driver in the United States, there's just more freedom in general. There's look, the regulations protect you as a driver. You won't have as many incidents of like getting worked to the bone, falling asleep, crashing your fucking 18-wheeler, stuff like that. But you sure as fuck won't be making $250,000 a year or more, depending on, you know, if you own your own rig or whatever. Yeah. You make way more money, especially if you own your truck. You make far more money in the United States. There's just more opportunity. There's stupid regulations. You lose a lot of money getting charged. The highway system is nowhere near as interconnected as the United States is. It's ass. Europe is basically a broken version of what America is. They're just trying to hobble together some form of a federation. It's ass. They call it a union, but really they'd like to be federated states.
And then let democracy work. And give people good information. Allow moms, when they go shopping for their children, to understand what's healthy and what's not healthy. And then some of the really bad stuff, we're going to just tell the industry, you know, we don't want you using this anymore. Kraft, which is our biggest food producer in this country, announced that it was getting rid of dyes. We met with Starbucks. You know, they have very clean food, but they do use a little bit of canola oil in their egg bites. And they said, we're going to get rid of that.
That's good. Those are one of my favorites.
Egg bites? I know. We've had Tyson's Food say we're getting rid of all the food dyes. So the industry has been wonderful. It's coming in here. It's meeting with us. They're cooperating with us, and they're working with us to make this happen.
I imagine there were some things that maybe surprised you to find once you got in here. Was there anything you came in here and said, wow, I can't believe we've been doing this way for so long?
I get those surprises every day. The vast majority of people who work for this agency are extraordinary public servants, and they're very excited about, you know, being given a direction that they join the agency because this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to protect children's health. But the leadership of this agency for many years has been bankrupt morally and I would say scientifically. I'll just tell you, one of the crazy things is that we could not get at the health data. There's all these different agencies that store different health data. And when I came in here, they were selling it to each other. And we could be doing things with that. We could look, let's say there's 3 diabetes drugs. We can look at each one of them and say, this one is causing side effects in this particular demographic. And we can look at all these things and then start making good decisions about it. And that is what we're...
Yeah, the food I've eaten in Europe, I'm going to miss when I come back. Oh, fuck, man. Just seeing that Kraft mac and cheese, the plastic cheese, the garbage food in the United States, you're really reduced down to like farmers markets or meat and fruits and vegetables. That's it. I mean, You can't even enjoy bread. You can't enjoy milk. You can't enjoy sweets like a patisserie, a croissant, something like. You can't fucking enjoy. I'll be in the United States inside of 30 days, guys. Yeah, I'll be in Phoenix. This is being great.
We're doing right now. We're revolutionizing this agency. We're bringing in AI. We've had a flood of.
The goal is always to come back. Look, I only came to Europe to retire my parents. That's it. Other than that, I don't give a fuck about this place. America's in my heart. That's my homeland. And I'll be America first on everything till I die. I'm getting buried there. To me, I have, even though born in Romania, I've lived in America so long, I don't give a fuck. I have no ties to this country, Romania, whatever, Europe in general, apart from blood and the soil I was born in. But mentality-wise, life-wise, experience-wise, sorry, bro. It's America for me. You're asking me, if you're asking me to bleed for a nation, it'd be America. Sorry. I lived here because my parents are comfortable here, so I did a few years here and retired them early as any good son would and told them, stay here, die in this country. This is where you were primarily brought up. This is the system that you know. It's much easier for you language-wise, but for me, it's not the same. Sorry. Not my people. Although we're kin and blood, I wasn't raised. The system did nothing for me. I got educated in America. I got help in America. I built my business in America. America's what helped make me. It molded me. I guess you could say I've taken American values and spread it overseas here by the people I've met, the friends I've made. I told them about America, how great it is, and including my own woman, and the mentality, the American mentality, the life of abundance, the mentality of abundance. People out here in the rest of the world have a different mentality of lack, of scarcity. So they see things a different way. So I've instilled American principles in the people I've met. But yeah, I don't give a fuck about the rest of the world. To me, America is the world. It's fun to travel. It's fun to go see for yourself. I'm coming home, bro. I don't give a fuck. That was always the plan of coming home. I just had to make sure my parents were good.
Extraordinary leaders from Silicon Valley. Some of them have literally walked away from billion-dollar businesses to come and work in humble jobs here to improve the delivery of healthcare, to improve the integrity of and the credibility of our science, to give individual Americans control over their health.
Whether it's the food supply.
Yeah, and people say, like someone said in the comments, but you live overseas. No, I'm temporarily here. And they're like, well, why are you even talking about America? Why the fuck not? Even if you never decided to come back, the IRS chases you. You're a taxed citizen forever. You're taxed forever overseas. You can't escape unless you renounce. So for one, you're paying into the system whether you live there or not. But two, it's very American of you to completely fucking have a revolting feeling about how the state of your country is going when all your tax money, what did they have to show for it? Homeless people everywhere, broken healthcare system, poisoned food. Right? These smaller countries are doing basic things better, like regulating food. Why the fuck doesn't a powerful country like America regulate food for the people? Why don't they give a fuck? We're paying into the system. We all owe it money at the end of the year. At least I do. Some people are, contributors, and some are benefactors, but I'm a contributor. And as long as I'm contributing tens of thousands, 50 plus 60 plus 100,000 plus yearly to taxes, I expect to get my fucking money's worth. I don't want to see needles in the parks next to my house. I don't want to go see homeless people at the cafe downtown. I don't want to worry about people fucking, getting robbed or shot, or my kids getting shot up in school or crazy shit, the mental health epidemic. You get a right when you pay into the system to complain about shit like that. That's why. Because I want to see my country be great. It's not even just about getting taxed, bro. I just want to open the door and just be blessed with greatness. Bald eagles, M16s, whatever the fuck funny meme you want to make out of America. I just want a safe place for me, my family, my kids, and my neighbors. That's all you're asking for. And for the government to fuck off my life. Fuck off. The smaller the government, the better. Go away. Let me live. Let me prosper by myself. I don't need you holding my fucking hand. This is what I don't like about socialist Europe. Always holding, they treat people here like children and shit. All these rules and regulations. Fuck off, bro. I went to not a public park, a national park, excuse me. You can't swim in the water, dude. That shit bothers me. I told my woman, I was like, you know, in America, any national park you go into, you swim in the water if you want. There's nobody holding your fucking hand. You can walk on top of the geysers at like Yosemite or wherever. Not Yosemite, at where's the fucking brain is dying. What park is it? What national park is it with the geysers? Jesus Christ. In Wyoming. Brain. Not working. For Yellowstone. There's a small sign. Thank you. In Yellowstone, there's a small sign, you guys. It says, hey, don't step off the trail. You fucking tard. You know what happens if you step off the trail and a geyser goes off and melts you down your bone? Nothing. You're an idiot. They just look at you and go, stupid. Shouldn't have done that. Stupid. Darwin got another one. But over here, bro, there's regulations. There's rules. No swimming. You're going to contaminate this giant fucking reservoir of water if you swim here. Fuck off. Fuck off. That water looks so clean. Let me swim and wash away the fucking evil. I want to get baptized. Yeah, there's too much commie bullshit going on in the EU. I don't like it. Freedom, my ass, bro, in the EU. Also, they have weird commie shit that I noticed too. We're so far off the health topic, but do you know there's rules here in Europe that when winter comes, they make you switch to winter tires? You got to pay for that. You got to pay to go switch your tires out to winter tire. You need a winter tire set. You don't got to do that commie shit in America. Once you buy your car, it's yours. You could keep your fucking bald tires like a moron, get in an accident. I mean, you'll be liable. But yeah, Anthony Man said it. You sound like a boomer talking about the homeless. All right, that didn't make sense, but thanks. Who the fuck wants to see homeless people in their city? Nobody.
Whether it's vaccines, a lot of these spaces have felt like for so long we're not supposed to talk about them. We're not supposed to address them. You've sort of blown the doors off of all of that. And I know I hear from parents all the time. You must hear this from a lot of parents.
Yeah, I hear it. If I walk down the street, I have every block, I have moms coming up and saying thank you. There's been this deliberate information chaos. So we're going to change all that. And we're going to make it so that people can do studies, that they can do gold standard science, that they can replicate those studies. And we're going to start doing real science and answer these questions for the moms. We're going to restore public faith in the public health regulatory agencies. There's so many perverse incentives that are built into our medical system now, hospitals.
Someone said, Bo, please be cooler like you were. Chill before. Don't know what happened to you, bro. If you need a consult, there's services. Europe radicalized me. That's what happened. Being in the homeland of the peoples radicalized me beyond belief as a European. Seeing what the fuck's happening in real time. Changes, demographic shifts, open borders, globalism. Because when you're in America, it's so vast, the land so great that you could literally isolate yourself in the sterile suburbia and not notice that shit's happening until you're forced to go crawl into the cities and see the state of which your nation and your people are in. When I came to Europe and saw it with my own eyes, I got radicalized beyond belief. It was all for multiculturalism. It's cool, bro. Yeah, welcome everybody in. We all live together. One love. No. No, fuck off. Send them back, all of them. Close the borders. Arrest them. Everyone that broke the rules, arrest them. Send them fucking back. Hard labor, chain gang style, nationalism, bring it back, patriotism, a good thing. Yeah, Europe did that to me. That's what happened. I can't unsee it. Once you see it, you can't. You can't. So I'm for America first on steroids. I'm for closing up the borders. Put up barbed wire, automated AI machine guns, just shooting anything that moves, triggered by, fucking motion sensors. I don't care. I really don't fucking care. I don't care to see AOC crying, all these fucking migrants at the border wall and shit. I don't fucking care, bro. Because I see what the state of society will go into based on what I saw in Europe. Can't have that. Nope. We tried it the nice way. It was not working. We got flooded with people that don't give a shit about our culture, our rules and our norms. Then when they get in big enough numbers, they try to change it to be the hellhole they came from. I see it happening in Europe. America, you haven't gotten to experience it at the state that it's in Europe. That's why I'm radicalized. That's why. So there you go, bro.
Pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, they're all making money from keeping us sick. And this is just a fact of life. All of those institutions make more money if you are sick. But, you know, economic incentives have an influence on validating or fortifying judgments that may not be the best for the patient.
You come from a very famous family, a family who's had a huge impact on this country. So as Secretary of HHS, what do you want your impact to be on America?
My uncle used to say, you know, that you could not ever find peace if you could not put yourself into the shoes of your adversary. And I think that's what President Trump tries to do. And, you know, I respect him enormously for that. And, you know, I'm very proud to work for him because I think he's got a vision that looks over the horizon. He's looking at what happens to kids in this country. He's thinking about our children and what they're going to face. And so you asked me, you know, what I would like to see from this, and that, you know, I just want to see those visions pan out. You know, and a lot of the stuff that he's doing is high risk, high stakes. We have to do it. If we don't do it, we're just on this, you know, prearranged trajectory toward destruction. And, you know, I thank God that we have a president in the White House that is not going to let our country go in that direction.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Shut the fuck up, Sean Hannity. That dude glazes hard. Anyways, there's no money in healthy people. Yeah, basically. What the hell is this? We'll do some Q&As before we start with the American Nightmare. I think they're talking about the big, beautiful bill. I know people are very, you know, split on this one. It's part good, it's part bad. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. Republicans are calling it a win. Democrats are calling it a nightmare. But for the average American, it just depends how much money you make a year, whether you're winning or losing. And unfortunately, it's a bit dirtier than everybody's expecting. There's a video that has very good research in the big, beautiful bill. I'm going to find a couple more, and we'll do a live stream on it. From what I have researched myself, it's not all rainbow and sunshines. The average person is going to mostly not see a good change. But if you're making somewhere, you know, a little more than normal, you're going to get a benefit from it. But the lower end probably won't. You're actually going to receive a loss. Yeah. And plus, when they call it something like big, beautiful bill, I mean, how many more times are they going to do shit like that? Because like Citizens United didn't unite us. And the Patriot Act took away the rights of people. It was not patriotic at all. So when I hear stupid shit like the big, beautiful bill, I think they're shitting down our throats in some way or another. Yeah. Almost like it's the big, beautiful bill for rich people or something like that. Something. I'll get down into the nitty and gritty for you guys and we'll cover it and you'll see what I mean. It's always the opposite. It really is. And they give you, the thing that sucks is they'll give you crumbs while they take the rest of the bread. So they'll give you crumbs like no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime or tips, right? And everybody's like, fuck yeah, this changes my life. And it's like, you don't see the dildo coming straight for your asshole. So, you know, they got the carrot in front of you. You're like, oh my God, finally I get to nibble on this little piece of carrot. And it's coming right behind you. Get ready. You're getting gapped big time. So So yeah, just be careful. I know I got a lot of MAGAs in here, a lot of Republicans, some liberals too. Yeah, you're getting gapped, boys. Gaped, whatever. Both of them. No loop. So careful. While you take your little nibble and you consider it a dub, actually it isn't. But the mentality will be, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing, man. Spread my asshole wide. It's better than nothing. Anal prolapse is better than nothing. I'm just kidding, guys. Yeah, we need a people's party. At least they're doing something. I mean, how much more of this bullshit can people take? Fuck, man. Years of Obama, years of Biden, years of fucking Bush. Tard after tard after fucking tard. Shit's getting worse. People are getting fucking tired, man. Your vote doesn't matter. It's what it feels like. Every party is dog shit. They're all taking money from the same fucking people. Yeah, just a tip. Just a tip, bro.
Oh, great to have you on Uncensored.
Good to be with you.
We used to speak a lot in my old CNN days, so it's great to have you here on YouTube. Let me just read a quote that you said recently. Government's too big, they print too much money, and they create the problems they pretend that they're fixing. That was actually, I think, your overview of where we are with this. So,
how good would the world be right now if he was president? If he made it when he was running? Abolish the Fed.
I presume you do not agree with Donald Trump that his bill is a big, beautiful bill. You presumably think it's the opposite.
Oh, well, it isn't hard. I did encourage some of the things he was talking about along with Musk at the beginning, because they have called attention to some really ridiculous spending like USAID. But overall, you know, it's once again the same old stuff. Promises, but no serious intent to follow through, because that calls out all the special interests. And that's the nature of our system. I see that as a consequence of pure democracy. Democracy means you can gang up on the minority and make the minority pay for all this. And I think that's what happened. There's a lot of gangs out there. It isn't one group wanting to change it and add on to it. You put them all together, then you have the dictatorship of the majority, and our country's getting poorer by the day. And we no longer can afford it. And that's why this is getting more and more difficult. And even if they come up with another vote, it's not going to last. And how are they going to pay for it? They might say, well, you know, it's been suggested that the national debt's going to increase by $5 trillion. Well, someday you have to deal with it. But I think we're already, people used to say, and I would say it too, you're just passing it on to the kids. No, the kids of today, they're the ones who are already suffering. The lower middle income class, they start to pay the bills. That's the tax, the inflation tax. So it's the payment is here already, and you don't have to wait. It's just going to get a lot worse, which is going to incentivize those who want to resort to violence.
Elon Musk was clearly, joined at the hip with Trump in the run-up to the election and for a few months afterwards. He has come out and attacked this bill in pretty savage fashion. He thinks it's going to add trillions of dollars to the American debt, which is already, in his eyes, unsustainable. It may lead to America going bankrupt. Trump, in return, says that he believes what it will do is stimulate the economy and that there will be economic growth. And therefore, all the apocalyptic warnings about the increase to the debt will be...
Just remember, since the Federal Reserve was instituted, the dollar has lost 96% of its value. That's a statistic that they will not tell you. 96% currency debasement since the Federal Reserve was created. The government, no matter who, red or blue, prints money, kicks the can down the road, and you are punished. That's the tax. Inflation is the tax to printing money. Did we stop printing money with the big, beautiful bill? No, actually, projected by independent analysis, not, analysis on Team Red or Team Blue. Projected is that we're going to have an increase in the deficit by trillions, by order of multi-trillion deficit. That is a tax on you. That is the dollar going inching up into 97, 98% devalued since the Federal Reserve was created. They tell you you're winning. They tell you your life will get better. We've cut your taxes of your already worthless currency, which is what we're printing more of. We've raised the debt ceiling to print more money of yours that we're taking, spending it on scrupulous shit that we don't need to be spending because it's already worthless, making you pay more into the system because your dollar is worth less and less and less. You can't afford shit, but we'll keep raising the debt ceiling. Imagine if you tell banks or you tell credit card or your mortgage lender that, bro, I don't have the money right now. Just wait a fucking minute. I'll pay you back. I swear, later. I'll pay you back later, dog. Or if I give you this dollar, let's just pretend it's worth $3 now. So just chill out. It's an IOU. Let me write you some IOUs and take this money instead. That's what they're doing when they print out all this money. They're telling you your dollar is worthless. Because what is it backed by? The government? What, military? The bombs? The bullets? The tanks? The super carrier strike groups? Oh, yeah? Well, we're still going more and more broke. So explain to me why we came off the gold standard. Why do we allow the Federal Reserve to just print infinite fucking money? It's not a surprise. The boom bust cycles, all of this shit, it's engineered. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just, fiscal reality of the economic system that we're under.
Overtaken and consumed by the growth. What do you say to that argument?
Well, it's been around for a long time. It never really pays the bills. It might work here and there when you cut taxes and then they go.
The solution is we need to peg the dollar to real assets that we have in this country, whether it's gold, whether it's other means of production. And you can get rid of the central bank. Technically, you don't need it. You could decentralize banking, but you could have a kind of a federal back. Yeah, you can back the dollar with petrol. You could back it with gas. You could back it with gold, other precious metals, other natural resources so that the government can't print randomly. Because if you print more dollars, you must back them by a hard asset by default. That stops the debasement of the dollar. Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that go into it to avoid, like an example is like if you go into war or there's a recession or something, a credit crunch or something, you would need a Federal Reserve because it helps ease those issues, right? To raise money and shit like that. It is needed. Centralized money is needed, but it has to be in the hands of the people. Right now, the Federal Reserve in the United States is a private entity where ownership is split between major banks. Private ownership. The Federal Reserve is not a public institution. People don't know that. Yeah. It gets far more complicated than that because you do need some way to raise money for, natural disasters, war, stuff like that, liquidity. There's things that happen. But still, when we got off the gold standard, it was like the beginning of, actually, you could argue the Federal Reserve was, and most of the founding fathers of America were arguing against the Federal Reserve for this exact reason. There's a famous Thomas Jefferson quote. Let me find it. He says, this is quoted to him, if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and the corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until all their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. You are going to grow up homeless in the country your fathers bled for. It's already happening. You can't even afford to buy a house.
There's more people working and there's more tax income, but overall, it does not solve the problem. Even the first person to really try this, and he got a lot of credit for it. It wasn't magic, even though it didn't have a long time to exist, and that was the Kennedy taxes. And he says, "We'll pay for it. We're going to stimulate the economy, and it may work for a month or two or a year, but it's not the answer to the damage done by the spending of money, because they never cut spending, and the deficit, just look at those curves, exponential. It used to be a slight curve to it, now it's a straight line. And that means that they have no control whatsoever. All they have is control of more deception, because they have to continue to fool the people to go along with this. And I think the conditions are so bad that eventually it overwhelms. You know, there were bits and number of people who resented the COVID epidemic and the ridiculousness of that, and yet there was just a few put the doctors in jail and a few others for speaking the truth. And then eventually more and more people started to realize it. Now people are realizing a lot of people died because the government became the doctor, and they made a lot of mistakes. And that's the way it is with tax cuts and things like that. It's tinkering, it's mismanagement, it's central economic planning, and they can talk individual groups into it. Well, we'll give you this. So the people that held out the longest wanted their item. It might have only been for their state. And I think that's a result of a misunderstanding of democracy. You might have a democratic vote to pick a leader, but you don't have pure democracy if 51% says screw the poor people in the middle class, just print the money. They won't know what's going on. And then when the prices go up, wage and price controls, and we'll blame corporate profits. You know, the thing goes on, and it's a bipartisan agreement to go after this, because neither party right now could do what is the right thing to do, and that is cut spending. It's not going to happen.
You won't get reelected. Nobody's getting reelected when you cut spending. No one, the voters don't want it because they're used to endowments, handouts being subsidized. And the corporations, they pay too much money for their man to stay in power. They're not going to want that either. It's a lost cause. It really is. Imagine campaigning on cuts, guys. Who has in the history of anything ever won on campaigning on cuts? Listen, we're going to have to make government smaller. That means your benefits go away. That means we're going to have to tax you more. That means we're going to have like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of government employees need to find another job. Technically, it's what we need to do. Technically, right? This is how you can immediately get rid of deficit by downsizing government. So how do you do that? Realistically, boys, you can't. The messaging has to be investment, stimulus, more deficits, increase the budget. Right? We're going to spend our way out of our problem. This has been the messaging for decades now. We're not doing austerity, boys. We're doing bailouts. We're bailing out banks. Too big to fail. Bailing out anybody we can. Hey, COVID's a bailouts. Bail everybody out. Send everybody money.
But the liquidation of all this malinvestment and all this debt will occur, because we're in the middle of it getting started, and that is debt is being liquidated by paying it off with cheap money. People say, well, let's get a mortgage now and we'll pay it off this kind of money. And that's what the government likes the inflation. because they can just print the money. And the real debt, in a way, goes down when they do that. But it caused economic chaos, a lot of anger. I think the biggest threat is the breakout of violence because the wealth distribution becomes so unfair. And that people should be concerned about. But they come up with it and say, well, you're right. That's social. This capitalism is terrible. What you need is socialism. We'll do a much better job of distributing the wealth. See, that's the consequence, and that's coming out of our educational system. So if we don't reverse that, and more people understand the value, the moral, and the economic, and the value of having a free society and letting people make their own minds, it's science. Oh, they say that's daydreaming. Yes, it's all.
For example, what do you guys think about this? If they got rid of property taxes and they got rid of income taxes and instead did a simple consumption tax, just what you spend to buy things, and even that is tiered, for example, so you can control what you get taxed on, your consumption, right? Imagine if you go buy fruits and vegetables and the sales tax on that was minimal at best, and meat, right? Basics, because that's important. And then imagine if you were to go buy things like Kit Kats, processed food, junk food, fast food, anything garbage, loaded with sugar and whatever other fucking poison that they put in there. And all of that is, the sales tax on that is absurd. Absurd. One McDonald's burger should cost you $30 fucking. But if you wanted to go buy some meat, some chicken, something like fruits and vegetables, your carrots, tomatoes, make yourself a salad, you should be able to fill the fucking cart up with a bunch of that shit at like $20-$30. You should have nice amounts of meat and veggies, right? Cars, luxury taxes on cars. So if you wanted to buy a fucking $80,000 truck or car, luxury, all the bells and whistles, put a luxury tax on that for consumption, and then tax the dog shit out of it for being past a certain price. So then automakers will then be pressured simply through sales taxes to provide Americans with simple, cheap cars that do everything you need them to do. Right? What else then? Yeah, they charge 80 grand for a truck today, and it's a piece of shit, like entry-level truck. They want $80,000. Fuck that. So imagine how much more, or I could say how much different your life would be if you didn't get income taxed or property taxed. Once you buy your house, it should be yours. If you buy land, it should be yours. Why the fuck are you still getting taxed on that? Stupid. Same shit with income. You're getting taxed on income, which then, let's just say you go buy some stocks with your income, something, if you were to invest, and then they tax you on that tax too. You pay tax on money you've already been taxed. And then you go register a car to drive to work, and then they tax you for your car you've already been taxed to buy. To drive it on the roads they already taxed you to drive on. And the value now, there's some states, guys, that tax you the value of the car every year to renew your fucking license plate. Isn't that crazy? They tax you the value of your car yearly. So if you have a car that's somewhat expensive, let's just say you get taxed $750 a year to renew your plates. $750 fucking dollars a year on a brand new car to renew your plates. What the fuck? And people are just like, okay with that. Well, we got to keep up with the roads and the infrastructure. Well, we got to make sure our roads are paved and there's no holes in them. Still got holes in them. Still aren't paved properly. Still in dog shit condition. Bridges crumbling still. Alleys look like shit. Where is all this tax money going? If you go into a DMV, it's still run like shit. Takes forever to do anything basic. Explain that to me. Where's the money going? I would understand if we're getting taxed to fucking death, bro, if I walk out into a fucking utopia. Someone said it's all going to Israel. Where's my money going? When I step out of my house, I expect that my money is being used properly. Where's it going?
Also daydreaming, but it's also the best way if you're looking for peace and prosperity.
President Trump has had a number of political wins in the last 2 weeks. That's undeniable, whether people agree with him or not. He's had wins. Where do you find agreement with him? I mean, for example, you don't believe in foreign wars. Trump doesn't believe in waging foreign wars. He's pretty well solved the problem of the seemingly unsolvable southern border crisis. The numbers of people coming in illegally on the southern border have dwindled to almost nothing under Trump in just a few months. Are these things where you can see common ground with Trump? Many of us carry around bulky, worn-out wallets that are uncomfortable and full of junk. The big question is...
Do daily. And Daniel and I that are on the program, we search and we want to come across and say, you know, he did this. And when he had his programs and he did a few things, we were cheering on. We still will cheer him on. But it's sort of very annoying to take what he said and promised, and then when it comes to doing something about it, it's reversed. But, you know, George Bush, when he ran for president, I said, boy, maybe he's different. That's George W.
You know what's so fucked up on taxes? Like, you're paying property tax, right? But then there's loopholes for billionaires where they buy property, and then because they installed or it started off as a vineyard, it's zero tax, because obviously there's provisions for farmers and whatever, that if they make a little bit of wine, a bottle or two of their dog shit vineyard wine, that they don't pay taxes on the mega mansion they built on that plot of land. But you pay taxes on yours, on your little house. How fucked is that? How's anybody okay with this tax system? How are people not like revolted? Absolutely. Why aren't people revolting in the streets? That shit's crazy. So the richer you are, the less you pay in taxes, because you have the means for all these provisions that basically create a giant loophole for you to not pay anything. How is there not a revolt? Explain to me. This country was founded on dudes mad that their tea got taxed 2%. 2 to 3%. 2 to 3%, bro. The forefathers of this country told the Brits to fuck off 2 to 3%. What happened? When is it enough? Or did they figure out the game? Let that man have a new iPhone. Let him have some new sneakers. Let him have that shitty food that makes him feel good, that's chalked up with chemicals. Do they got us by the balls that much? Really?
Bush. He talked about a non-intervention foreign policy. We're not the policemen of the world, and we shouldn't be doing all these things. But then Dick Cheney took over, and look at what we had. More and more wars, and they're continuing. And they're all illegal, immoral, and very destructive, because these wars should not be fought unless there's a declaration of war. So everything is unconstitutional as far as I'm concerned. But if you're not willing to spend the money on the military, that means you're not an American. You're un-American. Just look at the few that have stood their ground, what kind of heat they have to take for standing up for what is right. So,
but is it? Let me ask you. I mean, is it actually practical to have a position that America should never get involved in foreign military action? Because America does still maintain more than 50% of the world's military firepower. It is still the #1 superpower in the world. That may not be the case in a few years, but it is for now. And there are lots of fires that have to be put out. Is it really feasible to have a policy that America never gets engaged in foreign engagements?
You don't have to use never, but not getting engaged is practical. It would have been practical that we didn't go into Vietnam when I got drafted, and my life changed because of that, my medical training and all. There was nothing practical about having a war that was unconstitutional. That would be the guideline. It's declared, that's different. And then we go and we lose 38,000 Americans. And we lost thousands in Korea. What did we do in the Middle East? It just goes on and on. And they say, oh no, this will only take a month or two. Mission accomplished. And then all of a sudden it's not accomplished. After 20 years, then they come around and saying we need to get out. That is what is impractical. But putting out fires, yes, You know.
Yeah, I wonder what the Iran strikes are going to lead to overall. You have to think of it like this. Remember where they said a regime change. Israel said a regime change. Trump on Twitter said a regime change. And Vance maybe has said it officially. I'm not sure. We didn't get regime change. We said that we completely obliterated their ability to develop nuclear weapons. Then there were reports coming out saying that, no, actually we didn't. We set the program back by, I don't know, months. They gave a bunch of months that we sent it. We delayed the program. Okay. What is the blowback on striking a nation the size of Iran? All right, you have to save face somehow. So what is this? What does this turn into a few years from now? Maybe even months from now. I don't know. I'm not that plugged in geopolitically. You know, some people say, well, nothing happens. Well, we bombed a nation of the size of 90 plus million people. Something fucking happened, you know? So it's not that nothing never happens, because something big did happen. What happens to all the American bases all around the Middle East now? What happens to, you know, is there some terrorist attacks in the United States that are being planned currently? Operations in effect, sleeper cells being woken up, you know, in the planning phase for shit to happen. God knows when. I don't know. I don't know. Did we open up a can of fucking worms striking a nation like that? I don't know. Is that on behalf of the average everyday American? Was that country a threat to us? I don't know. I'm not plugged in. I don't have fucking top secret clearance. I don't know what the fuck's going on between nations. The geopolitical chess moves that are happening. I just know I don't think the average American gives a fuck about what's happening in Iran or about what the fuck they're saying. I think we're worrying about, you know, being able to afford groceries, keeping the lights on, having jobs that pay a living wage. I think that's what we care about, actually. I don't think we want to kick a hornet's nest or be implicated in some war for some other country like Israel. Yeah, I don't know what will come of this, guys. I guess wait and see is the best thing we can do. Wait and see.
You know, that is probably going to be around for a while, and there will be some interest. But it shouldn't be done by a dictator. It shouldn't be done secretly. It shouldn't be done by, you know, militarism and you know, hyping it up that this is what America is all about. Is coups. How many coups have we been involved in? You know, we have overtaken. Matter of fact, the whole thing in Iran started in 1953. That's when Eisenhower and the British got together and say, well, you know, this Mossadegh, he's elected, but he's a bum because he wants to keep the oil for the Ukraine or the Iranian. So they complain about that, but it's all the time, on and on. But it was early in our history that we did that, and we caused a lot of mischief even in the peninsulas here, South America and Central America. We've been involved, and still they haven't accepted Thomas Jefferson and libertarianism. They haven't really accepted the principles of our Constitution. So I would say that is impractical.
What do you think finally is going to happen to the big, beautiful bill when it goes to the House of Representatives?
We know what happened.
Do you think
it passed?
Land. And, you know, that's the way it works. They live from day to day, and that's the way individuals work. It's like a credit card. People run their credit cards up. But boy, if I can get one more credit card, I can get by for another month. And that's about the way we're on a credit card. But the credit card is the Federal Reserve and its effort to print money, and it is still intact. And then we have this, to me, a ridiculous debate between Trump and the Federal Reserve on what interest rates should be. They don't have the vaguest idea what the market rate of interest ought to be to make the economy move smoothly. So one argues, now Trump Trump's on the right side of the Keynesians because if this recession comes, they always lower interest rate. So I think Trump has a good feel on what's on the books, and he won't admit it. And that's why he's saying lower these interest rates, because he doesn't want to be involved in this economy turning.
That's such a good point right there. Who would have privy, like first eyes on access to information that says we're in a recession currently, or the market's very shaky, the economy's not doing too well, all these numbers are dog shit? Who do you think would know more? Think about that. So it makes perfect sense why he's screaming off the top of his lungs, lower the fucking interest rate. We got to stimulate the economy. Lower the interest rate. Unfortunately, when you lower the interest rate, you're going to have a boom in other assets like Bitcoin. Stocks are going to run again. Houses are going to get more expensive, but a little bit more money in people's pockets, a little, easier for lending. Businesses can start, producing more again. Think about that. This shit is crazy. Everybody knows the economy's not doing too well. We're on loose footing here. The job numbers are shit, guys. You know this already. The cost of living is out of control. We know this already. They're revising numbers like mad, especially during Biden's tenure. We know this already. Of course, he's screaming about lower the fucking interest rates right now. You gotta get Powell out of here. Get this moron out of here. Of course. Yeah. He put that's great. I didn't put those two together, but that would make perfect sense, because you don't want during your presidential, you say during your tenure at least, to admit the economy's fucked. You inherited something bad. I mean, you already know what Team Blue is going to spin it like. He crashed the economy. He fucked everything up and yada, yada, yada. So this is like, they're both, each side is incentivized to keep the real numbers under wraps, because if I think if the American population, the average citizen, knew just how bad it really is, we would have major protests everywhere.
Down. So, but they don't know that. It's created by, the control of interest rates, which is a big deal. And so what do these people do? They're price controllers. They would say, we don't want you in office. You believe in wage and price controls. No, but they would believe in controlling the money supply. And that's the inflation rate, the value of the dollar. And that is huge. And it's really practically ignored. I don't think there was many hours debating the nature of good monetary policy in the last couple of weeks.
And finally, Ron Paul, Elon Musk posted on his own social media platform X on Monday, if this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so that the people actually have a voice. He's threatening there to start a new party called the America Party. What do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think much of parties, and I don't think much of political solutions. I think only about people's understanding and prevailing attitudes. And that means the prevailing attitude today is a government just to take care of us, and it's bipartisan. It hasn't been the Democrats' fault or the Republicans' fault that we spend all this money, but it's the Democrats and the Republicans that voted for all the money, and they finance all the wars. They support the Federal Reserve System. They support all this stuff. It's bipartisan. So the only answer is to get a generation of people growing up and say, why don't we try liberty? Maybe peace and prosperity can come through liberty, not by electing somebody that makes promises. And the worse the conditions set, the bigger the lies they have to make, because it's truth. If you tell the truth in an empire of lies, with an empire of lies, if you tell the truth, it's called treason. And that's why people who stand out now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bucket, and are really telling the truth. And the people don't want to hear the truth, and the politicians can't stand it because they're exposed. And not only do they feel helpless, they're totally embarrassed too. And then they come up with, well, I'll just get more money for my group, and then everybody will be happy. So they wheel and deal, and it's for sale through an auction that goes on by buying and selling in these elections. And right now, I don't see any anything.
Yeah, there has to be a major movement that says no more Republicans, no more Democrats. If Elon's America First Party succeeds, that has to be seeped into the national psyche. No more. The draining the swamp thing was like the first seeding, and now it needs to fully grow into realization. No more Republicans, no more Democrats. Even if it fails ultimately, it has to be national, like it has to be in the national psyche. No more Dems, no more Repubs, right? Only then will we get the real changes that we need, because the lobbying groups will feel threatened. They'll see the truth that anybody who takes money is automatically seen in a negative light. The policies have to be re-engineered, no longer towards corporations and friendly business, big multinational companies. That shit has to go away. It has to be engineered with the average citizen in mind. How can we help an American? That's the only thing we can do. Unfortunately, the system is so fucking rigged that it's going to take a billionaire to fund the initial few primaries. And obviously that comes at a cost, man. What does Elon want from finding this party? Is he truly like benevolent? Does he really want to just help America? Technically, I mean, he's rich as fuck. It's not money that he's after. Does he have a bit of an ego trip and want some power and influence? Probably. Surely. Is he genuinely worried that we have an issue with the debt? Yes, I think so, because he can't sell his products if America goes broke. Is it self-serving in some sense? I guess so. Well, it has to be, of course, or else he wouldn't do it. So he wants a prosperous America to buy his products, to get to the moon, to make sure humanity doesn't, go extinct, as he likes to say. So sure, if it takes him spurging out in that sense, I'm for it. Are we aligned with billionaires? Obviously not, but eventually there is some alignment that happens there. They want us to buy their shit that they produce. So fine, bro, start your party, fund it. Let's get some populists, some nationalists there that really wants to help America, and we'll go from there, bro. We'll change the national psyche. I think that's where everything has to go. So, anyways, boys, it's been a pleasure. Got my Crocodile Dundee hat. Yeah. Answer a few questions, and I gotta get something to eat. Yeah, if you missed the stream, guys, we're going to be kicking it up and start doing more. 2 to 3 a week. We'll be attempting it. We have a nice... Next week's stream will be... I'll schedule it soon, but... I have it ready here. The main theme of that one is going to be the disappearing middle. Why average men are becoming invisible. Can I stream later? Yeah, it was Sunday, so everything here is closed. It's a bit weird. Wasn't doing anything. I figured I'd start the stream no problem early. I have people to log in. I'm going to try to start the stream normally. What is that? Around 11 Eastern time? Yeah. What time is it right now for East? Let me double check that. So it's 10:45 a.m. So that's what, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 Eastern time. I'm going to try to do 12 Eastern time for you guys. Yeah. So 12 East. So that means what? 9 West Coast. There you go. That's good. Try to do 2 to 3 hours just like that. And that should be good for everybody. Yeah. We started this one super early. Just do a 24-hour live stream? You guys are insane. I fucking died doing a 24-hour live stream. I could hardly handle like 3, 4. I need to be walking. I need one of those adjustable, what is it, like those gaming setups, those tables. You could just, and I have a little, what is that little thing that they use? They have those small office versions of treadmills. I need one of those. Compact treadmills with an adjustable gaming setup for my table, and I could just walk on streaming it. Yeah, stand-up desk. Yeah, I could just exercise while streaming, sweating my ass off. I cannot sit in a chair for longer than a couple of hours. Oh, you can't save a live stream on YouTube? And then I was thinking of streaming on Twitch too, by the way. On Twitch and Kick. Multi-streaming, I don't know if my setup could handle it, but yeah, YouTube's not ideal for streaming. Neuralink streaming, just see what my eyes see. That would be cool. Would I get banned on Twitch? I actually don't know. I mean, I have an account there. I have to figure out the login. I don't know. I don't know if I get banned on Twitch. If it's friendly for YouTube, it should be friendly enough for Twitch. Twitch is super woke. I guess it is. I don't know if I can handle multi-streaming, though. That's the problem. I was on Rumble too, but Rumble's a pain in the ass. Rumble is not interconnected with all these third-party apps. So like when you guys do Twitch donations and all that, I have to have a weird setup to be able to consolidate all the chats. Yeah, Rumble Studio sucks. I haven't used the new update, but it was a pain in the ass before. No, I haven't talked. No. The jab? No. All the information's coming out. I don't need to say anything. So all the trusted experts have egg on their face. That's all that's needed to be said there. All right, boys. It's time for some chicken and veggies. We'll see you guys later. Stream will be listed under the live tab if you haven't seen it all. For those that missed it completely or prefer these chopped up, as usual, they will be chopped up for you guys later. And yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.